#1 Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Look, we're making the new counterculture whether they want it or not. So who's going to run the non-woke answer to Newsarama or the non-autistic IGN?
Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who's running IronAge.media, creating Anvil, the anthology.
Iron Age.
Iron Age. Who even
so-called
knows?
Iron Age. Yeah.
My next co-host, the man who will absolutely make you change. And by making you change, what I mean by that is he is going to help you change from having that story in your head to putting it on paper and putting it into people's hands. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org.
#1 Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. Welcome back to A Drink with Crazy.
I am buying a goat. I love goat. We have a show this evening, or we don't, and it all stops here. That's fine. And so cometh the Iron Age of media. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. What's going on, everybody? That is a very fantastic intro done by Bat Sauce. He has been working to make an intro for Iron Age Nights, and I know that he would love to hear your feedback down below. That is like the 5th or 6th iteration of the intro.
Getting better and better.
It is. It's getting better and better. It absolutely is. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special show this evening. Our guest spoke out of turn. I will try to keep them in check as much as possible. But ladies and gentlemen, our normal host, or one of our normal co-hosts for the co-host, Daniel P. Riley, well, he's not a co-host tonight. He's in fact a guest. And so I reached out to a few people, and we had a man who said, yeah, I will lower myself to your levels, and I will be a part of your show. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a fantastic guest host for you this evening. We'll introduce him here in just a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the show where we introduce you to a fantastic indie creator so you guys can learn about them and you can figure out if they are the new fantastic creator for you and if that's something that you want to back, get behind, and so on and so forth. So, without any further ado, let's say hello to the chat, which I may or may not have stolen this idea from our guest host this evening. We'll get to that later. Over on Rumble, we've got Chatsu. What's going on, man? It's awesome to see you, Little Andy, and how are you doing, man? We got Skunk's Workshop. What's going on? Iron Age Media. You're on the Richard. You're on the show.
I can double dip if I want to.
I don't associate with the chat.
I've decided I'm going to.
Don't talk with the chat. It makes them feel. No, don't do it. No, damn it, no. The chat. Have you not learned that he's talking with the chat? I keep trying to tell him. I'm like, no. There's like, don't talk with the chat because you'll encourage them, and then the chat does what the chat does. And over on YouTube, we've got AC Pritchard. And I have to read this. Always down for DP. Sunglasses. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me do that better. He goes, always down for DP. All right. We've got AS Bruner. What's going on, man? It's good to see you. Chris M. How are you doing? Timo Burnham. What's going on? Bat Sauce. That's right. The guy who made the intro for tonight. Let him know what you guys think of that intro. Give him ideas. I guess send him memes. I don't know.
Needs more goats.
No, God, it doesn't. We're not doing the goat thing. Plant Vortex, what's going on? Evely Music, how you doing? We got 10 Cage down in the chat as well. Guilty Gearhead, what's going on? Oxen W, what up? JVP Music, which by the way, guys, JVP Music just released Ruthless issue number 2. It is absolutely fantastic. The music composition in it, the way that the wording was done was awesome. Like, he definitely stepped his game up from issue number 1. And I say that, and I would not have said that. I would not have even mentioned it had I not thought it was good. Even though yours truly and my wife voiced a few characters in it. And I say that with full transparency. It's something I learned from my brother. If I didn't feel that Ruthless 2 did not step up its game from Ruthless 1, I wouldn't mention it here. But I am mentioning it here, and I would love for you guys to go check out Ruthless number 2, the heavy metal audio comic, over on YouTube. Just type in Ruthless 2 JVP over on YouTube, and you guys are going to be able to find that. I will. Richard, would you be able to get that link down in the description or down in the links for me? We got.
Yeah, let me find that.
Richard's confused.
No, I'm.
All right, we got Coast Cat. What's going on, man? Wow. We got Caffeinated Bull. What's Caffeinated Wolf? God, I can't talk tonight. I'm tired. Apparently. Oh God.
That's a different anatomy part, I think.
It is. Machi-chan, what's going on? We got the Lord Otter. What's going on? Lee Yu, how are you doing? It's awesome to see you guys here. We got Draco Nightmare. What's going on? Redoubt Productions. The chat just jumped on me. Why do you guys do that? The chat likes to jump because they don't like. How do you do it with as many people as you get, Lit Dev? I like, you catch everybody. I don't.
Well, I'm good at it. I have years of practice. And
Skill, get good, Mofo.
Just straight up, he goes, "I'm good at it." Like
skill issue.
Get good, Royce. I see how it is. We got Resident One. What's going on? Storm Crow. What's going on, man? It's good to see you down in the chat as well. Absolutely fantastic. Mage Leader. What's going on? We got Brian Sanchez as well. Herman B. Hunter, the Lore Forge. What is going on, dude? It's awesome to see all of you down in the chat. And before I introduce my fantastic co-hosts, I want to say hello to all of the lurkers out there because I know you're lurking. And I want you to know that we see you guys as well. Just pop in, say hello, and go back to lurking. I want to know who lurks at me. Is that normal? I just want,
It's a little voyeuristic.
I mean, if I know you're watching me, I'm more comfortable with it. If you're trying to hide.
It's more
We're just gonna keep going
exhibitionist.
down this road.
That's what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Ladies
Royce
and
is
gentlemen,
gonna leave the windows open for you.
Not even gonna. Richard from Iron Age Media, the guy who's doing Anvil, the Iron Age magazine. How are you doing, good sir?
Doing all right. It was a long week. There was listen, it's almost too disturbing to really talk about, but
on this show,
there was this strange thing that happened down here in Texas, and it was like if I went outside, it was like a refrigerator. I
was there during that. I was in Dallas on Tuesday.
Oh well, then you understand. I've
it
never experienced
degrees.
anything like that. Yeah, it was truly horrific.
I went from -11 to 27 degrees, and
the power almost went out. I don't know what that first number you're talking about is, but it was.
-11 is not a number.
Yeah, it's not a real number. I'm pretty sure about that. Anyway, but yeah, I think things have been rolling along. We're getting the 3rd issue prepped for print, and everything is going there. I'm already working on some art for issue number 4. That's going to be killer. The cover is already not quite done, but the art for the cover is done, and I'm really excited about that one. So, man, everything is moving and grooving there. First Strike is should be coming in soon, and I need to get on the ball of getting the next EP started up. But just everything. I'm still getting things rolling for the beginning of the year. It's I don't know how it's already almost the end of January.
I don't know
distressed.
why the beginning of the year is different than the rest of the year, but for some reason,
I think it's like a holiday hangover. You're like,
dude, it's gotta be because I'm trying to get back into the swing of things and I just can't. I'm like it. What is up with January? Do we just What's up with January?
I think it's like everybody though. It's it's supposed to be a whenever you have family, I feel like after the holidays, you're like, I thought I was supposed to have a break.
Dude,
no such
then you
thing.
had no break over the holidays. So then in January, you're like, I think I deserve a break. At least that's kind of how I felt.
Dude, I feel like January is just like, and this is how it's felt for me. I feel like January just comes up and just kneecaps you with a hammer, and you're just like, but I need to get things done. And it's like, no, it's January. What are you talking about? And I'm like, and I don't understand. I don't understand January. Like as a creator, it is just, it's mind boggling. I don't understand it. I don't get it. However, that being said, maybe a man who's been a creator for a little bit longer than I have can explain this thing. Our absolutely fantastic guest host this evening. That's right. He is a host. Literature Devil. Good sir. How have you been, man?
Doing fantastic. Now, the only reason I'm a guest host is because we were playing like musical chairs backstage, and I sat in the wrong spot. So I sat in the host chair, and so boom, I'm a host. Boom, baby.
I literally told you while you guys were doing musical chairs, don't sit in that one if you don't want to be a host. And that's like the first chair he went for. He dove for it.
You told me not to, so I had to try it at least a little bit.
Reverse psychology works.
We had a few others. And then he pulled out a stick and hit the other guys, which we're gonna see how that lawsuit works out later. Anyway, Literature
It was a
Devil.
good stick. I learned from Shad. So.
Oh God, I love that guy to death. Lit Dev, how you been, man? How you do?
I'm doing fantastic. Learning that I am Knuff, and that all men, all true men, are Knuff. And if you're not Knuff, then if you're not a man who's Knuff, then you can never be a true man. I think The Godfather said that. I think something like that.
And you can't argue with that.
A man who's not Knuff can never be a true man.
Wait, say that again. Say it again.
A man who is not Knuff can never be a true man.
Chat, I need you to clip that, and I need you to voice over the Godfather saying that. Just like voice over the Godfather saying that. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight, dude. I know it was a last minute thing because Richard, Daniel, and I are expert planners. And we were like, hey, should we get another host, or should it just be the three of us? And this was last night, and we were just like, oh.
Well, a guest host.
I assumed I was going to interview myself.
All right, and before
So how are you doing, you handsome devil?
Daniel?
Oh, just fine. Thank you very much.
Right. There you go. And before we get to our fantastic guest this evening, which is wearing a Drink with Crazy shirt. I don't even have my wife has a Drink with Crazy shirt. I don't wear graphic tees. I'm odd. But Kikomon for $20 says, show me, show you. Kikomon. It says, woo, Big P. Stopping by for a few minutes. Gonna be on a business trip until February. Have a good one, you all. Stay sauced.
Safe travels, Kikomon.
Kikomon, safe travels to you, and you don't have to tell me to stay sauced. I appreciate the sentiment, though. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are going to introduce a man who, if you are a frequent viewer of this live stream, you already know him very well. This is Mr. Daniel P. Riley, and he is releasing his first comic book based off of one of his novels. And I am absolutely excited to talk about this evening. I'm absolutely excited to have a guest host here to ask him questions that we may not think of, because we know Daniel. That's the whole point of having a guest host is, well, we know Daniel. We know we're in this sphere. We under, and Lit Dev might come up with a question that just absolutely wrecks Daniel. I hope you do. I hope the fuck you do. But that's the whole point of tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, in order to introduce Mr. Daniel P. Riley and G Sedai, issue number 1 in the comic form, let's get that. Absolutely. God, I can't talk. I'm so tired from this week. I had to travel.
Off to a strong start.
Dude, just, you know what? Here's a trailer. It's Daniel's.
This is
just
the level
watch.
of energy I expected for my show.
Dude, I'm trying. Here's the thing, guys. Watch.
Royce
you
is
know
going to
the
fall
thing.
asleep. Richard's just going to stare off in the other direction for a
Lit Dev,
while.
you're
It's
carrying
fine.
us. Lit Dev,
Yeah.
you're carrying us tonight.
That's okay.
And that is the trailer for G Sedai.
Oimae Shindaru.
Yeah.
Ladies and
Indeed.
gentlemen, Daniel P. Riley, good sir. How have you been this last week?
Very good. Slightly stressed, but very good. We're 7 days away from the FMC campaign ending, and I've already got 2 in production. The next issue is being sketched out. I should have sketch proofs of a bunch of the pages on Sunday. And looking at doing a couple of other fun little things. One of them is ridiculously cute and involves the FMC logo and the guinea pig, which we will talk about most likely at some point during the stream, because it's a member of the cast in the book and the comic.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, all right. So, and I am working my way through G Sedai, and I'm not even through the first chapter yet, but it is right here.
Yeah, you're not there yet.
Nope. And there are reasons for that. But having seen the opening scene and having read the opening scene, so you started G Sedai, and I remember you telling me kind of what gave you the idea for G Sedai, how you started it, what you wanted to do with it. You also have other books. So I want you to talk about 2 things here. You start G Sedai, and I want to know your inspiration for G Sedai. And twofold, I want to know why out of all of your books is this the one that you said, I want to make my first comic? Because you have a few others. So that's a twofold question. Why did you start G Sedai? And why is this your first comic adaptation?
Well, I've spoken about this before a couple of times on various shows, and the G Sedai itself came from a music dream, basically a daydream. The original form of it was I was listening to a lot of interesting J-pop and visual key movement stuff from back in the early 2000s. And if you're not familiar with visual key music, it's like rock and orchestral. It's very evocative. There's a lot going on in the composition of it, but the music paints this crazy picture sometimes. And the first daydream I had about the concept, which was very rough back then, was listening to a song called Mind Forest by Kemwe Gact. And I started to see the first fight scene, basically. That is, you saw a little bit of in the expanded trailer that I have in the updates on FMC, if you've looked at it, which is versus a corporate assassin called Curio. I saw that in my head, and it was almost fully formed. I didn't have a full idea of what the hero character was like, but I knew what he looked like. I knew who he was fighting, and it was just awesome looking. So I started daydreaming about it more and more. And over time, the story eventually came to me. At first, it was just fights. It was literally going to be like a martial arts film, like a Shaw Brothers film, where the hero just mows his way through enemies, gets kicked down by the big dude, grows stronger, and comes back and wrecks him at the end. And then I was just going to call it done. But because of that song and what I envisioned, I started to think, what if we do it in a Kurosawa samurai film style, but set in the future? So there is epic duels, but there's also moments of character growth and development that happen in between that allow you to take this journey with this character who is sort of like a razor sharp potted plant for the first part of the story. He doesn't express. He doesn't really think beyond, my job is to kill that dude because the people who trained me told me to. He's an attack dog, just very highly skilled and well equipped.
And that reminds me of one of my favorite Jet Li movies.
Unleashed.
Was
Unleashed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. Is that not your favorite Jet Li movie? Because
my favorite Jet Li movie is Fearless. I really like Fearless.
Oh, Fearless is good. Okay.
Fearless is fantastic.
But the attack dog notion is a really powerful thing, and that's a good that is a good character to take on an emotional journey. Is the attack
Yeah, that's
dog.
what I was thinking.
Somebody who is dehumanized, who is discovering humanity.
Yep.
And as somebody who, like I said, I'm not through the first chapter yet, and I won't be for at least another day or two. Reasons. But
I'll try not to be too spoilery.
But I mean, the novel is already out, so if you guys would love to go check out
the
novel, yeah, 1 and 2 are out in novel form. So if you guys would like to go check those out, you guys can go head over to Amazon.com and pick up Aes Sedai 1 and 2. But the attack dog format is so interesting to me because it is the format that allows you to take somebody and let them discover their humanity. They're not just a dick or a bitchy person or whatever. They are detached from humanity. And through the story, they become attached and they learn about what humanity is. Mm-hmm. And having heard you talk about the story, and realize that's the angle that you're going from, is attaching someone to humanity. How exactly do you do that? How
does anybody become something greater than they are? They need something to fight for.
Well, but not just greater than they are. Not just greater. Greater is a very innocuous term.
Sure.
How does a machine become human? And how do you relate to that? Because, I mean, I've had this idea in my head for years. I talked about it. You can go way back on the channel and see my buddy and I talk about the idea between Master Chief and Cortana, and how one was a human without one was a body without a soul, and the other was a soul without a body. And we talked about that. How do you, and it kind of fits in here. How do you take a machine, somebody who that's what they do, and get them to be human? How like, is there any relation there between you and the character, or is this just a wild idea? Or did you have some point in your life where you felt machine-like and you had to reconnect with that humanity?
Well, yeah. I think there was a period of time where life was so banal for me that I did feel like I was just going through the motions in order to continue moving. But as far as connection with that, I didn't intentionally do that. Like,
Have you ever been a
insert that-
contract killer?
Yeah. Like,
Or are you
I've
calling on your
thought
experience?
about it.
It's like you know how women have a
Contract
hoe
killer.
phase. Like every man has like a contract killer phase.
Yes, absolutely. But no, really, the idea behind Gabriel blossomed through a lot of consideration of the story, the background, and what I wanted to ultimately work towards with the narrative, which was discovery of humanity. And I kind of wanted to boil down the idea that there is an inherent factory setting for people of general virtue. Like, everybody has some. Even the most deplorable people do have some virtues in there. And I wanted to tell a story about a character that didn't really express those because he had no reason to. It was literally beat out of him. I don't want to spoil the story too much for everybody, but I will a little bit. In the training sequence that I express in the book and will be in issue 2, which I'll say this, not really one for man crying, but I had to choke back a tear while I was storyboarding that sequence for issue number 2, because the idea of putting into a visual format the sort of physical abuse of a child that the character went through in that time was a little painful to have to think about. And I went through the same thing when I wrote it, but it was a lot worse with trying to come up with a way to show that in a panel for people to look at, because there's a little bit of a disconnect when you're just writing words, but when you actually have to show it to someone in a visual format, it felt stronger. But I'm getting off topic a little bit. His concept was that all humanity was sort of beaten out of him, maybe not beaten out of, but beaten back down to a point where his survival instinct was to just follow directions. And like, it's expressed in the scenes in the book where he takes the young girl that he finds, Hannah, back to his apartment. It's pretty much empty. He has very minimalist stuff. He has barely just enough food in the refrigerator to feed himself the necessary things that he needs to have physically. And then his closet is filled with the exact same company issued suit in duplication. He has no personality because he was trained and formatted to be a tool, not a person. But behind all of that, like any person, you have memories. He has memories of the time before he felt that way. He evolved into what he is now. And that is what ultimately connected him to Hannah. And when that happened, it sort of creaked open the door a little bit.
Okay, so what inspires you to write this story?
At first, I was just exploring the concept of a character that was so fully repressed he was no longer sentient, really.
And I somewhat got that from again going through the first chapter. I somewhat got that from going through the first chapter, but man, that seems like such just a disconnection from daily life. And I mean, I'll interject this here, like just kind of how I know you as a person, that seems so foreign to how I know you as a person. And that it's interesting that you wanted to write about a character like that.
The recesses of your mind are but an enigma. Never look under the hood of a writer. It's scary stuff.
Yeah,
Dude.
it can be pretty weird in here. That's for sure.
Writers are so.
Was there
okay.
any other media that inspired you aside from oh my goodness, you were just saying it, but the style of music that you're listening to, the keyframe, not keyframe,
Visual key, yeah.
visual key. All I could think was keyframe, and I'm like, that is not it.
Yeah. It's close. Visual key. Yeah, and the Kurosawa films.
Okay.
The style of, my first explanation of it was probably my favorite, which is the idea that you have two people who are facing off against each other with deadly weapons, and the fight is not a fight, it's a debate, and the conviction of each opponent determines the outcome. It's basically which one wants to prove their point more. Happens constantly in Kurosawa films, and that was sort of what I started with as a base concept for the first draft of the story. And that's why it was practically all battles, because I was expressing Gabriel's growing conviction with each successive fight. And you see that in a lot of manga and anime, and I didn't realize it until people started pointing it out, which dovetails into the question of why I chose Jisadai to make my first comic book. I do have a superhero novel, which you would think that would be the first medium to get turned into a comic book, really, because superheroes are a comic book thing. But the the biggest compliment I got about Jisadai 1 and 2 from every person that actually spoke to me about it was, this thing reads like an anime. So I thought, manga and anime are so popular right now, and I love this story, and I can see it in my head so clearly. Why not turn it into a physical media and start there?
Well, and the artist is
Kevin Jacob.
Yeah.
By the way, so if you were to give me an elevator pitch for this story, like if I were a stranger on the internet or something, hypothetically speaking, and you were going to sell me the story in about 60 seconds, what would you say?
Starting now.
The story is about a trained corporate assassin who chooses to protect a sex trafficked girl from the very company that trained him, and it puts him at odds with the other members of his team.
Very cool.
That's my elevator pitch.
That was 20 seconds.
It's literally what the story is about. Yeah.
How long is an elevator pitch supposed to be? You know
40,
what I mean?
It could be up to 45 to 30.
Pitch is a 60-second pitch.
45 to 60.
I mean, that's a pretty speedy elevator. But
so okay. Those are some dark ass themes, dude. How do you get there? Like, I'm sorry, Dev. Did you have a follow up? I'm sorry, that was your question.
No, that was it. That was it for now, anyway.
That was a great question too.
Like, okay. So those are some dark ass themes,
Mm-hmm.
right? A man who has essentially been beaten into a machine finds a young girl who has been trafficked.
Yep.
And the company who beat the man into the machine is doing the trafficking of the girl, and they come together, and it's like,
you infer that, but that's not actually what happened.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just like, okay. How the hell? Like, those are some dark themes there. There's a lot of human emotion there. There's a lot of despair.
It feels
in
like
that
it would be
story.
really cool. The suits kind of remind me of the Crazy '88 from Kill Bill. It'd be cool. You have like a little soundtrack in the trailer, and dun dun dun, and then they start fighting or something.
Yep. And in the book, there's an explanation for that. It's company issued. They are inlaid with all sorts of new age technology that essentially make them armor.
It's like John Wick. They have their little armored suits.
Yep, very much
Yeah.
so.
Very similar, yeah.
I do like me some
Which
John
is
Wick.
funny because I hadn't actually watched John Wick while I was writing the book.
And well, I mean, the idea of having some sort of thin layer of armor in suits, it's not necessarily John Wick. I mean, there's a few movies that have done that prior to John Wick.
Yep.
Hitman was one.
Yeah, the bulletproof skin. That was a
Yeah.
bulletproof skin.
Oh, it was Bulletproof Skin and Hitman. That's
It
right.
was still kind of the same, except he could be naked and still be bulletproof.
What's the other movie that I'm thinking of where they had suits that had that small, it was older than John Wick. It was God, I can't
don't
remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm drawing a blank on that.
No, well,
I'm sure it's been done. Everything's been done.
well, yeah. But okay, so the darker themes here.
Mhm.
Because man, those are some darker themes.
Yep.
Trafficking, brainwashing. I mean, how, especially knowing you. Okay. What questions are you asking yourself?
Royce, this
While
is
you're-
cheating.
No,
This is
it's
cheating.
not.
This is cheating.
How is it cheating?
Is the question is what next would be really really cool to happen? I'm pretty sure that's the next question.
No,
What could be really cool that could happen here?
well,
That's usually my next question.
okay. Well, I'll let you ask that question because you are in fact a host. What? But man, that's some dark ass shit. It's like where do you go in your head to write that?
It wasn't
Or
so
just-
much in my head as a byproduct of the environment. So when I designed the background of the story, more of these details came to me because corporate life in Japan, no offense to the Japanese, is brutal
18-hour days
and it can easily break a person. I just took that to an exaggerated level. And sex trafficking is a big market, unfortunately. And I just took that to an exaggerated level. And everything that I write has that, golden cloud moment where things get better, but it had to have a crucible in order for that to make sense. And that's what I illustrated with the first two chapters was Gabriel, a character who no longer had any humanity left in him and who didn't think of himself as anything but a destructive force, and a girl who had been taken from her family and put in a situation that was absolutely reprehensible, but had no way out. Finding that way out. And surprisingly, like I said, it would come up, that way out came in the form of the guinea pig. It was the reason that she was able to escape her captors and get out in front of Gabriel in the first place. A little cute, squeaky MacGuffin that just happened to do a thing and have a thing happen to it that changed her fate and ultimately put her in his path and then changed the both of them for the better, which is something that can happen and is a huge part of good fictional storytelling. People connecting and changing each other.
Oh,
Very nice, very nice.
no, I also
So,
well, go
I
ahead,
will-
go ahead, Lit Dev.
I want to ask one thing.
Shoot.
Let's see. So I feel like what was it? Did you ever see Taken? It kind of
Yeah.
feels like that. We're trying to save this girl. I mean, it's his daughter in that one, but it's kind of like that, where
Yeah.
it's like trying to save this girl. Also, it kind of reminds me of The Man from Nowhere, which I really enjoyed. That sort of thing.
It's a
Trying to
good
save
one.
this girl from. Well, in that one, I think it's like a drug dealing thing,
Yep.
which is going to be a drug mule. Very cool stuff. Like it's the girl in this one is a morality pet. So she's like the girl in which he suddenly feels a surge of human emotion for, and then breaks the conditioning, and then it's like I think it happens in Unleashed too, where it's like he finds
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman and Morgan
Yep.
Freeman's offspring or something, and then
Yeah. I think
he
it
likes
was
them
his
because they can play the piano or something.
granddaughter, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
remember.
human connection. Boom, like just, I've been a robot my entire life. Boom, bada bing, human connection, and now I'm a human again.
Yep. But
And
it's a little more drawn out than that in what I've designed, because he struggles even after meeting her. Like at first, his whole plan was, again, spoilers. His whole plan was just to take her with him, take her home, feed her, and then find her somewhere to go the next day. But circumstances made that impossible, and then put him at odds with the corporation.
And maybe it's because I'm not a well-read comic fan. I very much, and again, Jet Li Unleashed made me think of it. I get with the programming and all that, I get like Wolverine vibes.
A little bit.
Like this programmed machine, not like Wolverine from like the backstory of Wolverine, right? Like the thing that was really awesome until everybody knew about it. But
the Weapon X project.
Yeah, the Weapon X project. He was a killing machine. And it wasn't until something just broke him out of that's where I went to, just kind of reading, first chapter and kind of understanding the character, and having talked with you about, and you haven't given me, actually, I don't think you've given me any spoilers behind the scenes, because you're an a-hole like that, and you're like my normal
I can.
No, please
I
don't.
mean, well, there's
But
so many reasons behind everything, and I'm metering some of it out because I don't want to ruin the story for people.
Well,
but I'm also trying to give what I can safely.
I know, and you have to, but is the Wolverine thing remotely close, or is that a little too?
I can see the parallel.
Or is that just too pop culture? Nah, it's like, yeah. I mean, is that just me just making connections in my brain?
I can see the parallel, and this is what I like when I talk to people who've read it, because they always give me what they took from the story, and that's my favorite part. And that may have not been what I intended, but I love that you went there. I can see it, and because of the nanotechnology aspect, which we haven't really talked about yet, it does sort of remind you of Weapon X in a little bit roundabout cyber tech way.
And I don't know if the nanotechnology aspect is necessary to this conversation, and being like the foundational portions of G Sedai, and why you got to, and I don't just want to talk about how you came up with the story. I want to talk about the artwork that you had, how you came to the conclusion of getting to the comic and all that. But I also want to give Lit Dev and Richard some options, some ability to ask more questions, because I've been asking most of the questions, and I know, Richard, you had a question a little while ago.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if you would like to talk at all about the some of the religious tones in there, particularly with the naming of some of the characters, or is that something that you sort of want to save?
No, I'm cool with it.
So, with some of the redemption aspects, was that is that a major theme in what you were going for, or is that something that just kind of played out with the character? and his interaction with
It
Anna.
it's part of a larger narrative that runs the course of the entire set of stories that I have set up, which there's 18 total books and I've only written 2. We'll be working on 3 very soon, and that should be out sometime later this year. But it was intentional that he was codenamed Gabriel, and it was intentional even in the story, like in the world itself, why the man who trained them, who goes by Genbu, the Black Tortoise, chose to call his group of trained killers the Holy Eight, as 8 archangels, and each one of them named for an archangel, some obscure, some more mainstream, obviously, but there were 8 named archangels, so it worked out that way. And it ties into the greater narrative, as well as tied surprisingly into Sato Hasegawa, who is the 3rd character that is introduced in the first book. And it's, without spoiling too much, it becomes a major character development point for Gabriel and Hasegawa as the story progresses.
Awesome. I was going to say that was one of the first things that I noticed. I was like, well, Gabriel, I think you know where he's going here, but I'm interested to see how the whole arc plays out for sure.
I play with the religious symbolism a lot, because one of the Holy Eight, who goes by Raphael, is the genius behind the cybertech and Gabriel's nanotechnology. Each of these assassins has been given a piece of cybernetic technology as basically a beta test in order to have an advantage over the other corporations and their assassins, but also to research and develop this technology so that the corporation can then sell it. So they're used as literal lab rats as well as weapons. And one of the things at the end of the book that I sort of tease of the greater narrative of the story is Raphael trying to access Gabriel's nanotechnology and finding that he can't. The program that he's using, he's called Morningstar, and the pathway to do so is also called Nephilim. And that was intentional on Raphael's part because he wanted to play on the archangel thing. He has sort of a morbid sense of humor.
Yeah. So with the in terms of like world building and some of the broader stuff that I don't remember it getting discussed in the first 2 books and as much, the nanotechnology is still, I mean, this is still very much a corporate secret, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So it's not like a Neo Tokyo kind of setting.
No,
Cyberpunk?
not like, yeah, it's very cyberpunk. I call it cyberpunk-ish because
I feel like it's
writing
fairly lightweight on the cyber.
Yeah, the cyberpunk is sort of
It's
a side
It's like
detail.
the in-between phase of like what we have now and what most of us would consider cyberpunk. Is there
there
is
was
there a term for that phase in between those two?
I don't think so, and that's why I call it cyberpunk-ish.
You're like low cyberpunk, then you're like low fantasy, low cyberpunk,
Yeah,
low punk.
something like that. And
Right. Low punk. All right.
low punk.
I can just imagine the
Are you guys down for low punk, or is that too?
Low punk.
Oh God.
But there's virtual reality gaming has taken a huge leap. There's a expansive MMO that everybody is practically addicted to called New Game 3, and that's to show that the corporations got so lazy with their marketing because they had the market cornered, they didn't have to name the damn game. everybody just wanted it and slaved themselves to it. And I referenced that in the beginning of the first book with there are people who are literally homeless but still have their NG3 headset, and they just sort of lay around in the street like certain cities in the US attached to these things, completely ignoring their physical existence.
And because I have the book here, it's those who succumb fully to their wants, huddled amidst the trash in the streets, high on designer drugs and cortex stimulations provided by virtual reality connectors or VRCs covering their eyes and ears. The virtual world of NG3 or New Game 3, the current platform peddled by New Active Corp, provided an unhealthy respite from the rigors of life.
Yep.
That is literally in the first page.
Yeah. The idea behind it was that Tokyo had developed to a point where corrupt capitalism just went insane, and the corporations were the shadow government. Essentially, as long as they didn't upset the public trust, they could do whatever the hell they wanted, which was why they started training assassins. In order to one up each other, they went back to the old feudal concepts of low war, subterfuge, and assassination. So they would train people to kill off executives discreetly. Why not? It worked in the past.
Yeah, wrong there. So Lit Dev, what's up?
Royce.exe has stopped responding.
Royce.exe. Well, because I don't know where to go from here. Lit Dev, do you got something? Do you save me?
So how cyberpunk is it? Like, so you have nanotechnology. Is it like as heavy as nanotechnology as like Metal Gear Solid is, where everything is like nanomachine, son? Like,
no.
Can you will your assassin ever like wrestle like a senator or something?
Oh God.
Yeah, I want that scene recreated.
That's
like the grand finale. You got 18 books to work with here, Daniel. We can squeeze that in, right?
Nope, not gonna happen. I don't like that scene at all.
Even for the lulz?
No, not even
the
for
American,
the
Japanese people think you are.
Yeah. No, so it's cyberpunk in that it's a budding technological marvel. And what makes Gabriel special, technically, is that he's beta testing the nanotechnology that they want to eventually integrate.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
So all the other members of the Holy Eight are cybernetically enhanced. So they have some sort of machinery inside of them that has replaced something and gives them a leg up against the competition, which Suzakushin Corp then sells to the public as a product once it's been confirmed that it works properly. If it doesn't work properly, they just keep using the assassin and shelve the project.
And Gabriel, with the nanotechnology being the beta tester, Gabriel was the messenger.
Yeah.
Gabriel is the guardian angel who is the messenger.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm sorry. Sorry if I gave too much away there for those who didn't get that, but I need to finish reading these damn books. So then who is Michael?
Michael is a very interesting character and apparently everyone's favorite, and they're very upset with me that he died. But those of you who have not read, I know.
Spoiler alert.
I tried to gloss over it. It's a book about death duels, bro. They're all gonna die.
Well, obviously everybody's gonna die, but Gabriel. I get it. I get it. It's a shonen. It's an American shonen. That's exactly what this is. But, damn it, I didn't. He dies in book 2.
No.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go any further than that. But for those that did love it, he has a broader part to play as well. So even though he is dead, as the story progresses forward, things that you didn't know about Michael are revealed in the further books as well. So you get to experience character development of a character that doesn't exist anymore, which I really enjoyed planning out.
And he has a clone from the multiverse that just came through
with a mustache
reborn.
and a goatee.
Yes.
I'm still on because I'm still thinking about the Gabriel aspect of this. Gabriel being, especially if you're tapping into, the Christian mythology,
Mhm.
Gabriel being the messenger. I mean, not just being the messenger for technology, but also being the messenger for connecting to other human beings. Like, there are so many different ways that you can take the Gabriel character from here, especially being disconnected from humanity. And okay, he's the messenger. He's going to show everybody how awesome our technology is. He's the messenger. He can show other people that it does not matter whether you're a corporate drone trying to help a little girl, you can help whoever you want to. He's the messenger. He can show how you can be compassionate while also still being a warrior. I mean, there are so many different ways that you can take the messenger allegory and especially from Christianity and weave it through the story. And you save 18 books to do this.
Yep.
And that's really well, and I find it my oldest brother's name is Gabriel, named after the archangel, and that's so interesting to me that you use that type of iconography specifically for this character, because it gets my brain working, and I go, wait a minute, how does he connect to this? Where is he going to go with that? Because the messenger is such it's such a wide open character trait. The messenger could be the messenger for anything or everything all at the same time. And that is interesting to me. That is very interesting to me. Now
Well,
fuck you,
I was gonna say-
caffeinated wolf. Fuck you, caffeinated wolf.
What's his
Sorry.
sword style? Like, does he have a school? Like a Rurouni Kenshin is Hiten Mitsurugi. Does he have a cool sword style that, or there's something you copied from real life? Like, I know there's a lot of creators out there who would not necessarily give their characters a style, but they would kind of mimic a character's style and aesthetic from some real life martial art.
Yeah. So Genbu's training of Gabriel was super extensive, and because everything is sort of elevated in this new version of Tokyo in the future that I created for the story, I thought training would also be streamlined and highly efficient. So Gabriel is trained in I would say the adept level of basically every form of sword fighting, but that's as far as it goes. His preferred form is based off of the moral code of Bushido, and that was corrupted by Genbu into loyalty to the corporation as opposed to loyalty and honor to a daimyo or ruler of some kind. The corporation became that which tells you what to do. You die for the corporation. That was how he mentally manipulated Gabriel. It's in the book, and unfortunately, at this exact moment, the name of the school has blown out of my head, but I showcase that with specific references in each of the fight scenes that he's in. He'll use specific stances, and I'll give its name and then explain what it looks like. There will be some sort of indicator in each of the battles why he chose that stance and how it counters what he's expecting his opponent to do. Like, the only thing he does is fight. So that's all his mind focuses on, how to anticipate his opponent and how to murder them very quickly. As you saw in the trailer, he like rips through 3 people in the span of a couple of breaths. Eventually the name of it'll come to me, but it's in the book. And that came from
you're forgetting your book. You're terrible.
dude, I've written like, let's see, I wrote one in 2002 or 2022. Yeah, 2022. I wrote one in 2022. I wrote Legacy of Heroes shortly afterwards. And then I've been working on like almost 70 books for other people with my business. There's a lot of info in here.
Dude, you have a lot of excuses, it sounds like. Oh my God. But so Literature Devil, so here is actually
head's too full of stuff. Need a bigger head.
Yeah, well, it's God. No.
Well, if we don't want to talk about word things, then we can always talk about, picture things. Which,
picture things.
This is for the comic.
Pictures are good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Picture things are good.
Pictures are easy.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you worked with Kevin to get this style developed, and especially maybe a little bit about the color pop version for people who don't already know about it?
Yeah. Because everybody said this thing reads like an anime, I thought making it into a manga would be interesting. And Brian McCoppin, who had worked with Kevin on his Rise of the Paladins comic, suggested that I speak to Kevin about doing it, and he sent me a couple of sketches after I gave him some initial ideas on what I was looking for, and I just loved it. So I am not a visual guy. I can't draw for crap unless you want to see squiggly stick figures. So I would write out every detail I could think of and just go panel 1. All of these things. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I want the character to do. This is the expression on their face. This is what's happening. Don't forget the rain because it's raining, And I would do that for every panel, for every page that I could afford to pay him at a time, which was like 5 ago, because good artwork is not cheap. And he's incredibly affordable for the quality that he produces, which was another factor I wanted to work with him. And over time, we just got into such a rhythm that he was showing me sketches of what I came up with, and even going, I did this because it looks better. And I was like, it looks awesome. Thank you.
That's really what you want.
Yep.
Well,
yeah. Real quick, unfortunately, I don't know if Pooji's variant cover is actually going to be available. They had a accident a couple of weeks back around Christmas, and were laid up in the hospital until recently. They're recovered and said that they're going to try and get the cover out to me by the end of the month, but I don't know that it's going to happen. So the few of you that did buy into that variant cover, I may have to reach out to you and say, pick a different cover, please.
Is there any way that we can help them out? Did they need help with any medical bills or anything like that? Have they asked, or is this kind of on the DL? Or
he hasn't asked for help, and I have offered, but he's turned me down so far. Initially, that was the reason I tapped him. I liked the style of art that he had shown on Twitter a couple of times, and or Twix as we call it. And then he had posted that bills were kind of tight and he was looking for more commissions. So I said, hey, I have a comic coming up. If you want to do a variant cover, I can, throw you some money for doing that and help. But then, he had an emergency and ended up in the hospital, poor guy. We do communicate pretty regularly, but like I said, I would rather him be healthy than give me a variant cover.
Agreed. Do you happen to have his website and or a place to contact him available?
All of our communications were over Twix.
Okay. No, understandable. I get it. Like, I get it. That sucks, dude. And
yep. But on a lighter note, the other 2 variant covers I got are freaking sweet.
So, okay, I need to ask this question because this is something that.
Richard asked about the color pop.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
I just didn't want to forget.
So, this Jose Garcia, right? The variant cover from Jose Garcia. Is that this Jose Garcia?
Should be, yeah.
See that one. Which one is that?
This is Crimson Wren from Clownfish TV.
I remember him being pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose Garcia is great. He did.
Yeah. It's this Jose Garcia that did this book.
Yeah.
Like, that's there you go, guys. So the guy who has worked with Clownfish TV and I believe is also doing Crimson Wren Volume 2, which I have backed because I absolutely love the Crimson Wren book. I think it's utterly fantastic. Is also working with Daniel.
I tapped him for a commission and he happened to have time, so.
Well, you make it sound so simple, but
I try.
How did you come across Jose Garcia?
We've been following each other for a while.
Oh, it's just that easy. Oh,
yeah, that's it. Most of the time, it's just talking to people, dude.
When you live in the realms that we live in, we just know we know the other. You're a peasant. You don't know those that we know. So what the fuck is wrong?
No, it's literally just talking to people. It's literally just talking to people. I just interact. Richard, you're muted if you're talking.
Yeah, I was saying it's not a secret society. I think his DMs are open, Royce.
Yeah, before Zod.
I talk with people, and I don't know how you guys touch base with the people that you do.
Well, first you have to go to this island.
Yeah.
No, fuck.
No.
First you gotta go to this island.
It's very exclusive.
Oh shit! Oh, okay. Oh no, we're not.
And just so you know, I didn't kill myself if I disappear in the next couple of days. No. Yeah, I
next
reached out to
couple of
him.
days, but if it's 2 weeks from now, we're good.
This comic has evidence that may lead to the imprisonment of Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
That's the big
Let's
twist.
discuss that concept for a minute.
That's the ending there.
What if somebody? That would be a hell of a movie.
Mecca Hillary, the old South Park
writes an
episode?
entire comic book, like however many issues, and stores them up in their house, and then weekly, like they'll put the comic book out somewhere and like just be like, hey, scan this to the internet and share it with the world, and then they just drop it off, but it becomes like this viral sensation. And in the comic books, this like 12-issue book, it leads to all of these dark secrets of like a politician. And the guy literally has to drop them off at like, could be different parts of the world, could be like, but all of a sudden it's like this, and they're like, oh my God, like and it causes the actual governmental agencies to look into it, and it's just like, who the hell is this guy dropping off these books? And it's comics, and he's just but that's how he gets the word out on the corrupt politician.
Sounds like a lot of work for one of those like Reddit autistic dudes.
No, it could be like that. Sounds like a really fun like thriller style movie.
This sounds like good, but it should be a 4chan user with Pepe memes, and it should be set during the 2016 election. And the twist at the end is that it's Seth Rich.
Like Atomic Blonde, but with a Pepe as the main character.
Atomic
Pepe.
With a Pepe.
Atomic Pepe.
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
And he's got tearing through all the guards and trying to take down Hillary Clinton.
I can't do that because I might end up at odds with EVS and Cyberfrog.
Schmillery Flinton or something. I don't know.
Schmillery Flinton. Oh God. All right.
Hillary.
Yeah, there you go.
So-
Hillary.
All right, Daniel. We got, as Richard has said, and as I have said, we got to talk about some of the color pop. Do you have any of the color pop pages that you would be willing to share with us this evening? Because you are, I've seen a lot of black and white. I've seen a lot of full color. I have not seen a lot of color pop comics, and I think that this is a really unique take. Let's not beat around the bush here. It gives you the color while also allows you to save some money on the colorations and all that. But was the money portion the thing that made you do color pop, or was there something else? What made you do color pop? Was it just like, I want to do a full color comic, but I'm too broke to do that, so let's just color a few things? Like, what was it?
Nope.
What?
Original plan was always black and white. I was going for a stupid term I was making up myself, which is a manga. So I was just going to do black and white. Yeah,
I
stupid
think I've
term.
heard that term before.
Yeah, it's almost like we've talked with a few people who've used that term.
Yeah. It was actually my daughter's idea to do the color pop. Yep. We were just banding ideas on how to make the campaign special, and she was like, well, what if we do a little splash of colors and stuff? And I said, my first thought was, okay, so we since everything is neon in this future Tokyo, if you want to see more of the color pop, there's a 1 and 22-second long trailer in the updates page. That's all color pop scenes. My first thought when she said that was, okay, since everything's neon in future Tokyo and kind of holographic, why don't we color in all the signage? So every scene that has a sign on the street has a color variance. And then she started going, well, this would look really cool, like if we colored in Kurio's purple leather coat. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, the yellow raincoat that Hannah wears when she meets Gabriel is a theme in the book, so we would then yellow the coat. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you look through the pages and tell me what you think looks best in accent, what things you'd want to do. So she went through the entire comic book and then beat me until I paid her for doing it. She was the colorist.
Wow. So here it is. The color pop looks so fucking good.
Yep. And visually, there's a theme in the book when it comes to Gabriel's relation to Hannah as the story progresses, where he taps into the core of himself, becomes more human, expresses emotion, thinks about something other than just following directions and killing people when told to, but actually fight to defend someone, this girl, that I call the awakening of the warrior spirit. And that's represented in those couple of panels with the blue slashes and that bunny rabbit that seems to be bouncing along each of those cuts. Yes, because of the white hair sword. And that goes into the background of Gabriel and some of the trauma that he faced. It's also the link that started all of this. Hannah's treatment of the guinea pig, taking care of it and thinking about its safety over hers awakens that for him. That's what sort of opens the door in his mind. And at the same time, which I connected the nanotechnology to that. So the more he feels about protecting Hannah through the course of the story, the more he can access the nanotechnology. It responds to him because it's semi-sentient. It's nanotech.
So there's a neurological link to it?
Yeah, that's part of the whole story, yes.
I need to finish these damn books.
Does the sword have nanotechnology in it?
No. The colorization in the comic book of his slashes after he meets Hannah is my physical visual representation of that awakening of the warrior spirit. He's now fighting for someone else, not fighting because he was told to go kill a person. There's a emotional resonance behind it that comes out in his intention in those battle sequences. And I represented it physically in the comic with Kevin's help by designing those wide slashes that my daughter then thought would look amazing in that blue, sort of based off of the concept art that you showed earlier. And the almost spirit animal of the hair moving through each of the slashes. That'll be a constant going forward. But as you saw in the fights with Curio, when he was just defending himself because another assassin came to take his head, they weren't blue. It was just standard fighting. He was just fighting because he had to. There was no feeling behind it. There was no reason behind it other than I don't want to die. But as soon as he starts fighting for Hannah, it changes.
Now,
okay, I've got two co-hosts. You ask questions.
okay.
I'm at a loss.
I was gonna. Okay, I have something that I want to talk about here with the comic adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else like this that you feel like came out in the comic that you weren't able to convey with the books?
Now that I'm storyboarding issue 2, yes. Issue 1 is pretty darn close to the directly taken from the book as far as chapters 1 and 2, which is the chapter of Gabriel and the chapter of Hannah. And then everything after that is Gabriel and Hannah processing through the story together.
Yeah.
In the storyboard for issue 2, I had to rearrange a few things. And while I was rearranging them so that a comic book reader would sort of get it, as opposed to a book reader just having all the information there, turning it into a visual, I had to move some things around. And while I was doing so, I was like, oh, well, I got to give some sort of reference to this. So I'm going to need him to draw certain things in that I hadn't mentioned in the early parts of the book before. As far as themes and things go, like character details, not really. Most of it progresses pretty linear. The book progresses pretty linear, so it's easy to do.
Did you ever kind of calling back to our discussion with Eric Weathers, were there any times when you were laying things out and you looked at a page and you're like, I need to what I want to do is put a lot of text on here and I need to cut this down. Did you run into any of that being more, literary in your inclinations?
Yes. My first run at the storyboard was extremely exposition heavy. Mm-hmm. And instead, what I decided to do was drop the first page essentially of the book in as a graphic, so it gives the background and then dives right into the action.
Yeah.
And because there was so much exposition going on in text boxes in various parts of each of the panels, that I was like, no, this sucks. I wanted it to be simple because that's how I operate, try and keep it simple. Mm-hmm. And as you saw, there's not a ton of dialogue going on. Mm. And that's because it's all physicality in most of chapter 1 and chapter 2. There's very little actual speaking, but Hannah's section of the story, chapter 2, has a lot of her thoughts about things. So the back half of the comic has a few more text boxes than the first half does. But I cut it down significantly in order to make sure that it wasn't drowning out the imagery. And I wanted the imagery to tell the story more than those boxes did.
That seems like a hard line to toe.
It was very difficult.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's a big switch because, comics
I do like the black and white aesthetic you're going. It's going to be black and white. I know it's going to have like spots of color here and there. But it's going to be mostly black and white?
The color pop is special edition for backers only. The FMC campaign ends in 7 days, and once that's done, there will be no more color pop. The color pop stops, and it is just a black and white comic with a color cover.
Very cool. I do like the black and white. Makes things easier to read. I think and it's really cool because it does have because there's a lot of dark colors in here with the suits and stuff like that, so they pop out a lot more. And so the background tends to be a little bit lighter, it seems, from the panels I've seen. So I do enjoy that. That's pretty cool. Is the blood going to be like black ink? I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. I think they kind of did that a little bit in Kill Bill, when it got too graphic and they switched it to black and white, and everything's just all the blood's is black.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just ink splash. Yep.
Yeah, like that. I like that.
The,
it's pretty cool.
The best part of that's the first movie, correct?
The first movie.
Yeah, I still think that's the best part of that movie.
Yep, I really liked Kevin's input on that one because that was somewhat his idea. One of my favorite panels is right in the beginning when Gabriel's killing those 3 guys, the drunks, and you can see in that first slash, it's ripping through the side of the guy, but you can also see the minor details that Kevin put in of like his intestines there in the edges of the cut opening. It was so visceral that I was like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, dude. Keep it up.
Have you and Kevin had any disagreements, not the right word, but have you guys gone back and forth about idea, like, no, I really want it this way, no, I really want it that way? Like, is there something you're comfortable sharing about, because you're working with an artist? So I want like we've got a lot of new writers who might want to do what you're doing. What's that back and forth with your artist like? What and how does that work?
For me, I'm very fluid about it. I prefer the artists give me feedback, and that's from concept commissions that I've done over the years since the first issue came out, like that image that you saw that you put up by Livia Narna. That was a commission concept piece. I asked her to visualize the slash and spirit of the white hair on the page for me so I could see it and see if it actually looked the way I wanted it to appear in my head. And so when I was having conversation with Kevin, we would go back and forth. I would say, no, I really want this panel to look this way when he'd sent me the sketch concept panels. I really want this to look this way. I really want this to look this way. And he's pretty agreeable. He's like, yeah, you're paying me, so I'm going to do what you want. But every now and then he's said, well, this is essentially the best I can do with what you gave me. And I would say, okay, I'm not going to push you to try to go out your comfort zone and your ability. You've been steadily producing for me at this point. I prefer collaboration with people over a rigid, this is what I want, this is what it has to look like, and fuck you if you can't do it. Mindset that just doesn't work for me.
I've tried that with Richard and Daniel, and they just don't listen.
Yeah. We're like, yeah, we don't care.
With the powers vested in me as a co-host, can I derail the situation?
Yes.
Is that power?
That is a power you have, yes, and I welcome it. Let's go crazy.
I wanted to bring in an idea I had for a new comic. I think you might enjoy. Check this out. Look, so this is an idea I had, inspiration for the new comic. I've since shared it. So the premise is, guy gets isekai'd, comes back as Hitler, and he has to win the war. And he wants to go back home. So I think this is pretty ballsy. You're going to go ahead and...
Is this... there are problems with this, but it's still somehow less offensive to me.
It has an absurdly long...
So I've been reincarnated as a vending machine. You know what I mean?
You're going to come in and... I saw that when you get reincarnated into the vending machine. I was
reincarnated as Hitler, and all I want to do is go home. Please tell me that's the fucking title.
And relax. No, you got to win the war. He has to win the war in order to go back home. The life and times of an Austrian painter. It's kind of...
Oh my gosh. He's got him.
No, come on. Notice me, Hitler senpai.
No shit.
Alternatively, it's there's a good alternative story I got inspired from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's like Hitler comes back and it's the main character is like he finds a painting, Hitler comes back to life, and they solve crimes together.
Didn't this? Wait, this was like, what was that one show? Dang it! It had the like animatron, like the very intentionally badly done German Shepherd, like stuffed German Shepherd that would do the Roman salute, and it had, man, it was a bizarre show, but it had Hitler come back as like a special investigator or something like that.
I think I've seen the clip from that. It's like,
yes, it's the one with the meme where the guy has the sensible chuckle.
You guys are watching a lot of Hitler television
was like,
shows.
Well, I grew up on the History Channel, so it's like that was like all the History Channel.
History shows, yeah,
that is true.
The History Channel growing up was the Hitler Channel. That's why it's called. It starts with an H. The Hitler
yes,
Channel.
exactly. Yeah.
Let's see.
I didn't watch the History Channel because I was told when I was a young child that was all propaganda.
Kinda is. It's kind of like alien propaganda, like pro-alien propaganda.
Considering that they ran that, oh my god, That
I
show
just
was
like Mail Call.
really. I
When
would go
Mail Call went off
Ancient
the air,
Aliens.
it all went downhill.
Ancient Aliens was fucking horrible.
Well, see, that stuff stuff is good for people like me because I'm a writer. I'll just take that and then that's a cool conspiracy. Let me put that in a story somewhere.
Can I put an idea out there for all of the writers that's been in my brain for a long time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll allow it.
Okay. All right. So, goodness Lord, he wrote the Fingerprints of the Gods. He's been featured on Joe Rogan's show. Graham. Oh, good Lord. I cannot. But he. Why can I not remember his name at this present time? It's one of those moments. But anyway. But obviously he's been on the Joe Rogan show quite a few times. He wrote Fingerprints of the Gods.
Graham Hancock, apparently.
Graham Hancock, thank you. But Graham Hancock, actually listening to him gave me this idea, and it would be I just thought it would be a really cool movie idea. It'd be a trilogy or something of that nature. But and he obviously believes that in prehistory times, to what we would know as prehistory, so going back to the Ice Age and so on, that we actually had possibly a seafaring civilization, not technological civilization like what we have now, but you know, they built boats, they could go and they could sail, and there was a lot of, because if you especially look into a lot of the history of the world, there's a very good chance that we were very connected before the collapse of the Great Ice Walls. And my brain took that a step further, and it was like, what if we had a really awesome, like, advanced society prior to the collapse of the ice walls, and a catastrophic thing wiped us out, and there were only a few survivors of that world that had to go and teach the Neanderthals, right? Teach those who weren't advanced across the world the technology, but they had to do the rudimentary thing, and that's where the pyramids came from, and that's where all of that stuff came from. Like, what if we could just write that as just a fun movie to have fun with, or a fun book to have fun with? Because might as well, like, look, we don't know what happened tens of thousands of years ago. Might as well embellish it a little bit. Then that was, I don't know. I thought I like stories like that. I think stuff like that's fun to play with.
Solomon thing.
Yeah, some of this is reminiscent of like the Hyperborea and whatnot from Robert E. Howard. From
I do like what Robert E. Howard went through, because if you read what happened to him, he was like the first guy to get canceled because he was so popular back then. They would write like he's like the journalism has not changed. They just went to Twitter. The same things they're saying now to you. If you write the wrong things, is the same thing they're calling Robert. Is it calling him like a loser, a guy who can't get a woman? He loves guns because his dick is small. Like they were saying things like this about him because they didn't like him.
Don Henley's it goes back to Don Henley's like dirty laundry. Like if it bleeds it leads storyline. And it doesn't matter if it's true. If it bleeds, it leads. And that's all that matters.
Yep.
And the sad part is even the layman today, who's not a journalist, but just who can post anything on Twitter. If it bleeds, it leads, regardless if it's true. Let Dev tell me you haven't seen this. Just the absolute carnage of people going back and forth, just spewing absolute nonsense about other people. But it doesn't matter. It bleeds, so it leads. And that's what I'm going to say on Twitter.
That's how it works. That's basically just Twitter. That's how Twitter works.
Well, but it's been media for the last 50 fucking years.
Well, there's a reason.
Well, I mean, it's always been that way.
Term for it, Schadenfreude.
Fortunately, the indie journalists and something like that, and creators and stuff like that, have been able to get larger voices, and the media is now a laughing stock. It's like just the mainstream media is now just they've tanked in trust.
For a
And
second
because
there, I
people
thought
laugh
you were
at
going to say, fortunately, indie creators have been able to avoid drama, and I was like,
Oh, no.
No, they have not. No,
No
they have
such
not.
luck as
That's
that.
a tale as old as time.
A tale as old as time.
oh, he's breaking into song.
I mean, it was the story of the image, man. It's like this a whole war on its own.
Yeah, it's not okay. So you got me derailed here, and now you're talking about an isekai where a dude goes back and becomes Hitler, and
He has to win the
supposedly-
war to go home.
Are you writing this?
No,
From what I saw, on
apparently
Twitch,
it's a
he was
Korean. It's like a
pitching
Korean
it
light
to
novel.
John Mallon.
I'm just.
I sent it to John Malin though. I did send it to John Malin. Like, hey, I got an idea for you to go along with his Little Black Riding Hood kind of style
Oh
story.
my god, dude! Little Black. I need to read Little Black Riding Hood.
It's
That
dangerous. It
sounds-
got #1 on some sort of rating or something like that. It was like it's
I don't know. That's
highly recommended apparently.
Interesting.
That's interesting. So, I genuinely have no idea where to go with the rest of this conversation.
Well,
Do you guys
I'm
have
going
questions
to.
for Daniel?
I'm going to
do you
scurry off here, but I want to.
Scurry.
Yes, I was going to say, but before I go, I will leave this final question for Daniel, which is, what is your favorite, what isekai story would you love to write and bring to comics? Would it be, what kind of kitchen appliance would they be reincarnated as, or maybe even, I have no idea. Have you not seen this? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've seen
Not
it.
seen
and
It's truly horrifying. They're just like the bottom of the barrel. My God.
yeah,
It's like
I
American
am-
comics and homosexuality. I mean, they are just, they can't stop doing it, I guess.
I hate isekai.
I-
And
I had
I'm
the
sorry to
worst.
say that. I hate it. The only isekai concept that I actually like currently is Donovan Walker Star Warden, which that's Draco
Ooh.
Nightmare in the chat. Just because it's like an isekai He-Man type of story. And that's the only reason I like it. Is every other isekai I've ever seen is just absolute dog shit. And that
You wouldn't want to
includes
do an
children.
isekai where you come back as a witch's broom or something.
No.
I had the worst idea, and I think it's because I'm tired, and I may regret saying this on the channel.
Oh dear.
And I may regret saying this on the channel.
Something to do with Hitler.
Let's
No.
hear it.
Are you gonna pull a Kanye West on?
Oh no, it's way bad. It's very,
He's
very.
got to put a mask
we're-
on
It's very
first.
You gotta
sensual.
put your
Kanye
mask.
West.
Gotta get your
Adults
get mask
who-
on first.
I got hit by a car and I was
have
reincarnated
children
as
who
Kanye
can
West.
possibly hear
Yeah.
the sound of my voice. Send the children out of the room for the love of God. I do not know what the fuck happened to my brain here, but it's absolute guy humor. I'm not going to apologize for this. And it is, I got reincarnated into my girlfriend's dildo, but because I'm gone, she misses me too much to use it. What the fuck?
That's probably a manga, actually. Already.
I was gonna say that's.
Most likely.
I don't think that's technically a manga, but
Maybe like a light novel or something.
yeah, or whatever it
Big
is.
X.
That's
I
enough.
am
Yeah.
way too tired.
This is your
to
fault,
pick-
Richard.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna.
you know what?
blame
With
Lit,
that,
I'm gonna blame Lit Dev. No, maybe I should. No, I guess it was Richard's question.
It's Richard's fault.
yeah, it was my fault. I kept us going down the
I don't-
isekai rabbit hole,
I don't mind
and
isekai too much, depending on how it's done.
I like the
listen,
reverse
I-
isekai, where the devil's a part timer, where the evil devil from another fantasy world comes to our world and has to get a job at McDonald's and get an apartment and stuff.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
What's the
Yeah. Absolute dog shit.
what's the one that I was
I only like let's see here, really out of isekai, I only really like Overlord, just because it's so on the nose, and I don't know. It's like the first one that I watched, and then obviously I got to give it up for Chronicles of Narnia, and then John Carter. So those are my three favorite isekai. I'm just doing that to upset Daniel. And with that note, I will say good night to everybody. I gotta get out of here.
Chronicles of Narnia and John Carter in his isekai.
I'm gonna let you
How
two.
dare you.
The balls, that's
I'm
in
just
Wonderland.
wanting to throw some gasoline on things before I head out here. Oh yes, Escaflowne, also high quality stuff. My wife would want that shouted out.
Okay,
but that is at least
Dante's Inferno, best isekai.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, you're right. Classic isekai.
Classic isekai.
Not
yes,
isekai.
There you go.
That one actually.
Royce is a bigger isekai fan than he realized.
Wait. Now that's an interesting conversation to have, because Dante's Inferno predates
not isekai.
The isekai notion, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
that's
but if I had pearls, I'd clutch them. Damn you.
Yeah, but I mean, originally it was
Christmas Carol,
in Japan.
The best
isekai. It was appropriated by the West. Anyway, on that note, everybody have a good night. AnimalMagazine.com, IronAge.media.
Drop those links.
No.
No.
You guys have a good night.
He's like, I'm leaving. Okay.
I'm out.
Good night, Richard.
So, okay, Lit Dev, did you? And I don't expect you to remember. Did you literally throw out Dante's Inferno just because you knew that I had this?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did like a limited, like it was a very rare edition of Dante's Inferno. Yeah,
it's 1880. It's 143 years old.
It's pretty good. It's very old isekai.
I know.
One of the original isekai, I think.
But what it? Okay, so
I'm pretty sure hell counts as another world.
Well, it is, but what constitutes an isekai? Is it
going to another world?
Yeah,
is that literally the only premise? It's just
another world.
So anybody who crosses over into another plane of an. But in Dante's Inferno, if you read it, it was and you obviously there was the leopard, and a few other characters in the beginning that kept him from ascending the hill, and so it was he had to figure out, and essentially it was an allegory for working through your own sin, and it was Virgil who guided him through hell in order to work around his own sin. Typically, I guess most modern isekais are very, I guess, would be reductive in this standpoint, where it's just, well, we're just going to plop a guy in a thing and let him go.
Yeah.
But whereas especially back when Dante's Inferno was written, he was talking about different planes of existence, whereas all of this is in this existence, but there are different planes, because that's why you have the Inferno, the Purgatorium, and the Paradiso.
The Purgatorio and the Paradiso.
And I have not actually read Purgatorium and Paradiso. I've read the Inferno. It's my favorite book of all time.
They're all right. Like they're fine. That's why like everyone knows the Inferno, because it's like the best one. Oh, did you ever hear the canon theory that hell is actually the Greek mythology's underworld, and it became hell once God came down, kicked all the gods out, and was like, "This is mine now." Because Minos, King Minos he was so good at his job, he remained employed even after the new management took over.
Interesting. No, I've not heard that. So for me, the reason that the Inferno is as good to me is I remember, so I was raised traditional Catholic, and for those who don't know, that means I went to a Latin mass. I actually was an altar boy. I could actually speak Latin when I practiced it. My Latin is very out of date now. I remember very few prayers.
Latin is out of date, period.
Well, it's a dead language, but what I mean by Latin is
Only mostly dead.
I said my Latin is out of
Mostly
date.
dead.
I remember the Gloria for the most part.
I love a good
which would be
BMT where the mutton is nice and lean.
Right.
Sorry.
It'd be like I remember very few prayers from then. Like the Gloria, Gloria in excelsis Deo et in terra pax omnibus bona voluntatis, laudamus Dei, benedicimus Dei, adoramus Dei, glorificamus Dei, gratias agimus
Now you're
tibi
just showing
prosper.
off.
Again, I remember very little of my Latin, and that's for some reason I remember the Gloria to this day. But which is glory to God on the highest. But anyway, what drew me in? So there was this Father Dupré was his name. He was a priest from France who was a traditional Latin priest, and I remember talking with him, and I was like, Father, when I read the Bible, I don't get anything out of it. Like I've tried, everybody's like, oh, you got to read the Bible to be a good Christian, and I'm like, I read it, and I'm like, that's cool. But when I read something like Dante's Inferno, but it speaks to me. And Father Dupré looks at me and he goes, then don't read the Bible. That's not how God wants to speak to you. And if you get something out of Dante's Inferno, then read Dante's Inferno. Because that's how God's choosing to speak with you. And I went, oh. Because I felt bad that this book that's never been recognized by the church was speaking to me deeply. And I was young. I was like 14. And the Bible, you open it, and the Bible's supposed to speak to everybody. You open up the Bible and light shines, and immediately everybody's a convert. And I heard all the stories about people opening the Bible in that special passage, and I've read the passages and nothing. But this book that has never been recognized by the church, I open it up and I hear the struggle of somebody going through a sinful life and then also seeing the horrible sin that other people went through. And that book spoke to me, and I talked with a priest, and he's like, if the Bible doesn't speak to you, don't read it. He's like, God is speaking to you in a different way. And that may be a good reason as to why Dante's Inferno is one of my favorite books to this day. I had a 1933 edition prior to this. It's at my parents'. It's actually completely unbound now, sadly. I stored it as best I could, and I apparently did not store it well enough, but it is completely unbound now. But yeah, no, it's a powerful book for me. It really, really is. Dante's Inferno, for those who have not read it, go try to find the oldest translations that you can. It's a powerful book. It is. It actually is one of the reasons that to this day, when I read, I keep a dictionary close, because if there are words that I don't know, I open up the dictionary and I find those and I read them. And yes, I would also recommend that if you're reading anything, especially in the older rite, anything that's, beyond, I would say 75 to 80 years old, keep a dictionary close. And read things that are older than that, so you can keep a dictionary close, because it will expand your vocabulary. But yeah, so that's my life story. Thanks for joining my TED Talk. Lit Dev, Daniel Riley, what do you got?
Someone said big whoop. You quoted Boondock Saints in Latin. Big deal.
You quoted the I didn't quote the Boondock
the
Saints
Boondock
in
Saints.
Latin. That would be. Oh my God! I love the Boondock Saints. I love that movie, by the way, so much.
It's great. It's fantastic. I found that movie. I think a friend downloaded it. I just watched it one day. It's like, oh, this is great. What is this? This is fantastic.
This is a replica from the Boondock Saints. A
little Celtic cross, yeah, a little circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's and shepherds we shall be for thee, my lord, for the power hath descended forth from the hand, and at our feet we
If they carry out thy command.
command, and we shall flow river
River forth
thee,
today,
from
and teeming
from
with souls shall ever be.
be.
In nomenis Patris et Filii,
Spiritus Sancti.
and Spiritus Sancti.
I love that.
Vaffanculo! Psh!
Yep.
Oh, dude, it's so great, dude. I've heard threats, and I call them threats that they're gonna do a third one. I'm like, stop, please, not today.
I can't wait for a third one. I mean, imagine like the
No.
brothers come out and their walkers and their wheelchairs, and they're just like,
Oh my
"Are
god!
you ready for this, my good brother?"
The second one was passable, but it needs to stay dead after that.
Now hold on.
Sacco mad. No, I really like the scene where it's like Daddy's working. You know, where like to do the little
Daddy-
Russian roulette thing.
Dude.
That part was awesome.
That was well. Everything that had to do with the father and his backstory was incredible. But there was a lot of other garbage in that movie that didn't need to be there. If it were, and then maybe it's the way that they tied it in, and they were trying to like make up for the Rocco character. In season 2.
Well, the
They
Bronco
were
speech is
very
pretty
much.
cool. It was just-
However,
this came out of nowhere. I did like the part
Rocco
where
dream
I didn't
sequence?
like
Yeah, the
the, I
Rocco
didn't
dream
like the
sequence.
Rocco dream sequence. I didn't like that.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
It was dumb. It didn't have to have that in there. But it was like it was nice to see him. Although I would just say that I mean Heaven's pretty good. He's eating pretty well in Heaven. He
Yeah,
gained like
right.
100 pounds.
Right. Well, here's the thing. 2 has so many more quotable lines than 1.
That's for sure.
And that's why like 2, there's so many quotable lines in 2. And I'm just like,
Serendipitous.
right, serendipitous. It's like, right, serendipitous is one.
Smacks his teeth out with a salami.
I know, dude. Well, there's that. And he goes, hey, I don't like words with spick right in the middle of them.
That was a good one. I like that one. That was fantastic.
Line. That was a great line.
I like Romeo. Romeo was fantastic. It's like, oh, look, representation.
Romeo's crying.
Romeo's crying.
I actually have that clip on my show. Shut up. Romeo's crying.
Dude, it's so good. 2 has so many quotable lines.
I like the part where like he's like they find the drugs and he's like, yeah, it's heroin. He's like, how the fuck you know?
would
Fuck
you
you, I know shit.
Fuck you, I know shit. Dude, exactly. It's like, hey. He's like, tell me this make me look gay.
Hey, look, you seen him up close, yeah.
Yeah, you could have seen him up close. Dude, I quote on my show all the time, anytime like somebody says something like a little bit, I'm like, stay gold, pony boy, stay gold, when he's sitting there tattooing his brother.
With Tabasco sauce. What kind of fucked up race would you invent that shit?
What kind of fucked up race would even invent that shit? Dude, it's 2 has so many quotable lines.
The most obvious one skipped over.
Yeah, but
Gay surfer boy.
yeah.
No, ding dong.
Oh yeah,
mother-
ding dong.
Ding
That was a shirt.
dong.
That was a shirt.
And the boys
Ding
look
dong.
at him and they're like,
I need to
fucking
get
A.
if we get like surprise guests on the show one day, I need to get that ding dong, motherfucking ding dong, and then just we like welcome the guests like the way that you do with your show, Lit Dip.
I like the part where like he captures the guy. And he's like, okay, I need a catchphrase.
Oh shit, that was oh fuck, that was
That was the prelude to the ding dong quote.
no, the actor that was fuck, he was in Men in Black. God, I can't remember his name. But they got him in there specifically for that reason. He was in Men in Black 2. God, what was his name? Anyway, no, it's absolutely hilarious. I love that. But he's like, hey, I need you. I need you to help me come up with a catchphrase.
Toot fucking sweet.
Toot fucking sweet. Dude, it's so good. But I will say this. So Boondock Saints 2 gets really good, especially at the end, because it's dealing with the father and his history. And I feel like had they tapped into that more and not trying to recreate the first one so much, because it feels like Boondock Saints feels like two different. The second one feels like two different movies,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like they knew how to connect the son's story to the father's story, and they tried, and Troy Duffy just was not able to pull it off.
Part of the problem, I think, was that the establishment in the first book was that the legacy was passed on from the father to the sons, in that in the prison scene, they have the calling moment where the rain falls through the cracks of the building and, is blessing them essentially. And they have that vision. And that was while the Duke was still incarcerated, so he was out of play.
Yeah.
So the theory was that the universe, or God, however you want to look at it, was like, okay, the one we sent to do this shit is out of play. We give it to the sons, and they take over the calling. In the second one, they kind of fuck that whole thing over with the Duke and the Roman, and their friendship and the story that evolved, which led to the ending conflict and all of that. They kind of smack that whole fate, metaphysical, religious quality right out of the story. And I think that's where it fell apart.
I don't know if I don't know if I agree with that entirely.
The reason I think so is because in the first story, in the first movie, you have the baptismal scene in the prison, and then afterwards, when they're ambushed by the Russians and almost killed, there's that scene with the rosaries, with the rosaries swinging back and forth for no reason on the wall. And that was
okay.
There was a lot of symbolism that showed that there was
and I disagree with you because
quality.
Troy Duffy is not that fucking deep.
I know he's not.
No, I agree with you that the symbolism is there, but I disagree that Troy Duffy knew what the fuck the symbolism was.
I think the word you're looking for is symbolism.
The symbology there.
Symbology.
There's symbology there.
So many fucking people say symbology, like literally in a sentence, and I'm like, but
finally a theory to go with that tie.
Right. Detective Dallapoptiscalius. But no, I think the second one fails not because it's trying to tell the story of the father, but because it's trying to maintain it tried to be too humorous. The first one wasn't trying to be funny, it just had some really funny moments.
Yeah, the writing was on point for the first one.
But the second one, it was like they were trying to be as funny as the first. And although some funny fucking moments, and some tragic moments. I'm sorry, when Greenlee comes in and he's like, what? And he gets blown the fuck up. Like,
isn't the actor who plays Greenlee is named Bob Marley?
No
shit. The first time I watched the movie, I was like, is Bob Marley in this movie? But it's that it's that guy.
Really, dude.
Plays Greenlee, yeah.
Dude, I love those movies. So do you guys remember back in the day when your text messages, you could put like a footer at the end of your text messages, to be like edgy and cool and be like, oh, this is who I am, or like business people would be like, hey, reach me here. Do you guys remember when you could put the footer at your text messages? When I met my wife,
old school,
my footer at my text messages, my text message was, "And shepherds we shall be for thee, my Lord, for thee." And I sent my wife my first text, and she goes, "You're a Boondock Saints fan?" And I was just like,
"What a nerd!"
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't what a nerd. She was just like, "You're a Boondock Saints fan?" I'm like, "Yes." And she goes, "That's awesome." And my wife is like the hottest girl I've ever met in my life. Like, I was the nerd, bro. Like, I didn't have like hot girls like want my number and shit like
so
that.
So I was like, "Oh, what a nerd!"
Right? Yeah. And now we have 4 kids. So, and actually, a lot of this on the wall she has made. But no, dude. Damn it, Lit Dev. Now I want to go, like, we're supposed to be talking about that. Lit Dev, I want to have just a Boondock Saints discussion for no other reason than YouTube will just
My friends and I once in high school gave us
I'll
like
give you 5 minutes to let it out because I'm gonna go break the seal. I'll be back.
Oh God!
Our friends and I in high school had like Boondock Saints. Well, I mean, not high school because we totally weren't drinking, but we had a Boondock Saints party where we had like a bunch of like cheap pizza and not beer.
Not
It was
beer.
beer though. Well, it was technically beer. It was like beer flavored water. It was like Keystone. It was like Keystone Light. We were kids, okay? We were kids.
Dude,
we're high school
I've drank
kids.
Bud Light, and it's better than Keystone.
Keystone is swill.
Oh,
it is
dude,
awful, horrific swill.
Bud Light is craft beer compared to Keystone.
Keystone is like it was like Keystone. It was like Keystone Light. It was Keystone Light too. It was Keystone Light, and we're eating Little Caesars. So we had like the number one
Keystone Light and Little Caesars.
Number
How
one-
are you alive?
That was Boondock Saints. That was their poor. They're like under the bridge. You know, there's the shittiest pizza, the shittiest booze.
Oh,
It was fun though. It was
Dude,
fun. You drink enough Keystone, you don't even care anymore. Yeah.
dude, I usually have to drink a fair amount before I get to Keystone, so I don't taste it. Like, oh my God. No,
I can't even drink that stuff anymore. I have to at least drink like a Blue Moon or Sam Adams.
Right. I drink everything. I'm a redneck. Beer is beer. I drink cheap beer. Everybody looks at me like, Royce, why are you drinking Busch Light? I'm like, well, I'm a redneck.
It's an open one.
And I drink too much. And I don't know if you know this, but when you're a redneck and you drink too much, I can't afford. I could not afford. I would have to pull out a second mortgage on my house to afford craft beer.
Craft beer can be pretty expensive, yeah.
It's spendy, but it is so good. Oh, I tell everybody, this YouTube thing takes off. That's the only thing you all ever see me drink again. YouTube's not going to take off, ladies and gentlemen. It's on the Deno. But anyway.
I really enjoy, one of my favorites is St. Arnold. St. Arnold's really good. I have a 6-pack of Tarnation. It's like labeled as highly alcoholic beer. I think it's based in San Antonio. It's St. Arnold, the patron saint of booze. Pretty good stuff.
What's the ABV?
That one is, I think, 11% for like a bottle. It's pretty boozy.
Oh, that's so. I have a problem with really any craft beer that peaks about 7.5 because out of all of the craft beers that I've had, a lot of brewers really have a problem. Once you get over about 7.5, they have a problem with balancing the harsh alcohol flavor with the rest of the notes of the beer.
This is true, yeah.
And
it's really overwhelming usually.
it really is. And I've only ever had a few who have, and strangely enough, I've actually had some that were in like the 14% range.
Like what, barley wines or something?
No, beers. These were beers. But they were stouts, porters, things like
that makes sense. I hate porters. They
really?
I drank porters. I never liked them very much.
Well, but so those are porters and stouts are what I like to call my dessert beers. Like you eat a nice steak dinner and then you sit there and you sip on a porter or you sip on a stout, and not a very big one, but just a small one as a dessert. That's what I like to call my dessert beers. But when it comes to anything over about 7.5 ABV, you really have to be careful with the brewery, because I would say probably 60% of breweries don't know how to balance the alcohol with the flavor. And if you can get somebody who gives you a beer that is over 7.5 ABV and you're just like, this is delicious, I can't even taste the alcohol. One, that's dangerous as hell. And two, that is a brewery that you need to shout out to the world, because it's really hard. And I've only had a few of them here and there that were, again, north of that 7.5. And it didn't just, it was like, oh, there's this flavor, and then the rest of it's like gasoline.
That's like alcohol. Like a really strong alcohol taste.
Yes.
Very overwhelming, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're drinking like a 10% beer, you're probably drinking that to get drunk, and that's kind of part of the fun.
So for me, and for people who've heard, they've heard me say this before. Getting drunk for me actually feels it's like the worst feeling on the planet.
Well, you want to get drunk, you want to get a little tipsy. It's kind of like when you're doing a wine tasting, you want to taste the wine, but you want to drink the wine. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. You kind of want to stay in a nice fun zone of tipsy rather than I'm wasted. Never get that way. Well, that's awful.
So for me, I'm sure that I'm allergic to something because I can't even go that far. For me,
the High West is all
even
gone.
being tipsy, it starts to feel like the flu. I start to get migraines. I start to get joint pain. I start to feel like I'm on fire. It is a miserable feeling. I like my taste of beer.
Wait, then how come you call it drink with crazy?
Be a man.
I got spear, bro. My tolerance is actually very high because I was raised that the second that you start to feel it, you stop. Now, thankfully, when I start to feel it, I start to feel it. So I just stop. And over the course of like 8 years of because I didn't drink when I actually really didn't start drinking until I was like 23, 24.
Me too.
Over the course of like 8 years of stopping as soon as I feel it, if it's just like your redneck beers, right? Your Busch Lights, your Coors Lights, and all that, I can put a 12-pack away in a night and not even feel it.
Miller Lite.
Keystone. Because we're not. Stop talking about Keystone. No, just no. What's wrong with you?
I have no idea.
Why?
I don't know how I lived drinking all that Keystone. There's a lot of Keystone.
Do you do you have a liver?
I guess the benefits of being young because I was like drinking Keystone at 14 or something like that. So it's like,
dude, it's so bad. I can't. If somebody gave me a key, if I went to someone's house for like a barbecue and they're like, "Yeah, man, here you go," and they hand it. I would take the Keystone and I would drink that one.
I mean, not 14. What was drinking age? Yeah, it was totally 21 or whatever. But
I'll be 100% honest. The first full beer that I ever finished was at my graduation party for high school, by the way. And it was, well, I won't get into the rest of that story, maybe backstage because it's a fun story. We almost duct taped one of my friends to the hood of my dad's truck and parked it out in the middle of the field, but we decided that would have been too mean. And we were also a little far too gone ourselves to pick our friend up and put him on the hood of my dad's truck.
That makes sense. That's pretty probably a good idea.
Yeah. We wanted to, but we didn't. But it would have been funny. And never mind. But yeah, stories that I almost did but never did. But okay. Going back into the stream, I don't know how the fuck we got into
Speaking of Boondock Saints.
Speaking of, we're supposed to be talking about Daniel's.
While you were gone, we didn't talk one little bit about Boondock Saints. It's all about shitty beer.
And it's just about shitty beer and
it's about shitty
not
beer.
being men.
So
Hiya.
What are you, fucking Uncle Roger now? Have you guys
One
watched?
more thing.
No, not that Uncle Roger. Do you know Uncle Roger from YouTube?
Nigel personality.
Yeah, Nigel, dude, he is great. He does a lot of like cooking stuff. He is fucking hilarious. He's actually a stand-up comic, and I don't know how he started it, but he's a younger guy, Asian, but he started judging people's fried rice, egg fried rice recipes.
Fried rice.
Dude, he puts on the most stereotypical Asian like voice. Like, okay, have you never seen Uncle Roger?
The Asian uncle, he's great.
Have you never seen Uncle Roger?
Not once.
Okay. All right, fuck it, we're doing it. I'm doing this. Dev, why is every time you're here I make an absolute ass out of myself?
The guest for tonight, right?
Well, it's gotta be. They gotta get gotta entertain the audience. I mean, come on.
I don't know. All right. I gotta get past this stupid. Why is every time you're here I make an ass out of myself? This is ridiculous.
Well, it is a literature devil. I mean, come on.
All right. So this guy just he's fucking hilarious. I'm probably gonna. I don't even know. Can you copyright strike another YouTube video? Like, yeah. This is.
We'll find out.
All right.
Martha Stewart, successful businesswoman, swimsuit model, and Snoop.
What the fuck?
I've heard this
Why
guy
are you
before.
laughing?
They already
successful
caught you.
businesswoman, swimsuit model, and Snoop Dogg best friend. So when Uncle Roger finds this video of her making Thai fried rice, I know I have to review.
I'm going to show you 3 methods for cooking the perfect light and fluffy white rice. Long grain rice, you wash the grain.
Didn't she get canceled because she said the N-word?
Look how cloudy
so.
the water is. That's all the starch that's coating the rice grain.
This must be the most fake studio kitchen ever. Even the sunlight look fake. I'm pretty sure that green screen behind there.
1 cup of water.
Green screen.
We have 1 cup of rice. This is what's called the French method of cooking rice.
The French method. Why are you taking rice advice from French people? That's not what they know for. That's like going to Japan to get advice
about
for
rice
pasta,
from the
or going
French.
to UK to get advice for anything. Let's just skip to third method.
Very impressive, very based.
So that's 2 ways. Now the
Very
third
based.
way is in a rice cooker. Most rice cookers.
Rice cooker for you. Martha have rice cooker and it's same brand Uncle Roger have. See, she just covered it up, but we all know that the
covered it
baby elephant brand, the best rice cooker in the world. Uncle Roger just moved to LA. This is the first thing I buy. I don't even have bed yet. Just sleep on floor next to rice cooker. That's all I need.
There are normally graduated marks on the inside of the rice cookers indicating how much water one should use.
Correct?
So here we
You don't
have
even need to use your finger anymore.
2 cups, which we're going to add to the cooker. 2 cups of cold water.
How much plastic surgery has that woman had?
Now this is a very fancy
She's
schmancy
like
rice
probably
cooker.
more
It works.
plastic than woman now, I think.
Like, dude, that she looked older 20 years ago.
This is a happy
Holy
homemaker Darth
shit.
Vader, but with plastic.
Oh my god, like she's gonna melt.
Very.
Even Martha know it fancy. Nice.
It's already set for regular rice. Just press cooking. Makes a little song. And it will take approximately 55 minutes until it's done.
Technically, yes, 55 minutes. But Martha, all this baby elephant rice cooker brand, they have quick cook setting. Done in 20 minutes. Because 55 minutes, that too long? The rice been inside longer than Martha.
Guilty on all charges.
And the rice cooker, well, we have some rice in our
The rice has been inside longer than Martha.
cooker. That is done.
Perfect.
It's jasmine rice and the aroma
Jasmine
is
rice, correct for Thai fried rice?
white. These rice cookers generally come with a rice paddle like this, which is very helpful in removing the rice to a bowl. Now look at this. Isn't this beautiful?
Good, good. That rice paddle, good for scooping your rice and for beating your kid also.
Now here's
I had the
a
double
great
usage
way
there.
to use up left.
Oh shit. Do we want to continue this video? Or are we just commenting on this video now?
So anyway, the comic book.
Yeah.
Speaking of Asians,
Here's an actual amusing connection between these two things. So I've been aware of Uncle Roger for a long time, and while I was writing G Sedai 1 was like in the early stages of his popularity, Nigel Links, and I had been watching his videos.
Hold on. Resident 1, Martha Stewart was Miss America?
Maybe, I don't know.
I didn't know she was missing America while she was in prison.
Well. Okay, go on, Daniel. Sorry, I need to look some shit up. Go. Just
So in writing G Sedai, I hadn't actually intended to have Hasegawa. He came during the writing process, like, you know, Athena style, fully formed out of my head, out of nowhere. And when he did, and I was writing him, I sort of was hearing the Uncle Roger voice when I was writing Hasegawa's dialogue, but I intentionally avoided the hi-ya as much as possible and just instead adopted the affectation that older Japanese men release when they're frustrated instead of the hiya, because I didn't want to be like, yeah, this character appeared and it's because of Uncle Roger. It wasn't the connection I was looking for.
That's a weird way to tie that in. That does not look like Martha Stewart.
People were young.
People had a lot less plastic on them back then.
Well, there's that too. But yeah, people were young. And
that's when Martha Stewart looked like a
were hot
woman
when they were young.
instead of like a Barbie doll or something.
Yeah.
Melted
She
Barbie
doesn't
doll.
look like a Barbie doll now. She never mind. I'm gonna say things that
She looks like Martha Stewart Barbie. There's a lot of diverse Barbies out there.
She looks like something that used to look like Martha Stewart. Anyway.
That's an interesting.
Lit Dev, I'm not going to have you on anymore. You're bringing out a whole lot of bad things in me.
I like it.
The devil on the shoulder.
Right, I appreciate it, but also okay. So
I've had a few drinks. I'm okay with the chaos.
You've always had a few drinks. He
I ran out of
my
High West.
secret. I'm always drunk.
Dude, he doesn't drink the rest of the week. He's like, no, Iron Age Nights is the only night of the week that I drink. I'm like, oh,
that's correct.
So the only night of the week that you drink is when we're supposed to be interviewing people about their projects. And he's like, yup.
Absolutely. I ran out of High West though, so I've just gone to my reserve rum.
Oh God,
we had snowpocalypse. I didn't go out yesterday.
The snow was ridiculous the last last week and a half. Oh yeah, Lit Dev, you're down in Texas, right?
Oh yeah,
Texas
hell.
Where at in Texas? If you don't want to say, that's fine.
Like right now in the southern part right now.
Okay. I was
get any of the crazy refrigeration?
Oh yeah.
I was in Dallas 3 days ago. I literally had a business trip. I was in Dallas on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I flew out Wednesday night.
I was in Dallas like a week ago. It's a pretty fun place.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I was in a hotel. My experience of Dallas was a hotel. All right.
Especially here on the East Coast, telling Pennsylvanians about how when I was living in Texas, there was maybe a quarter of an inch of snow one day and school district shut down. Every news channel was telling people to stay home. Everyone in our development was in parkas and snow hats and boots and gloves. And I'm walking around the neighborhood to go to the mailbox because, it was one of those big mail server boxes in shorts and a t-shirt in like 25-degree weather because I'm from Pennsylvania and everyone in Texas didn't know how to function because there was a light dusting of snow on the ground. It's my favorite story.
My brother shared a very similar story because he was from Colorado, where we would in the wintertime get 3 feet of snow and like negative.
That's where snow was born.
Lit Dev, we're not judging you. We're judging where you come from. Very big difference. You're a nice guy.
I'm not sure.
But Texans are pussies. Anyway.
This is like a storm coming, like a hurricane coming. Then it's time to go to Whataburger.
Right?
Yeah. That's my favorite Babylon Bee story was the Texans opened fire on stuff falling from the sky.
It's probably like a not the bee story. Probably would happen.
Oh, shit. All right, so we have a few chats here from the folks.
Yay.
So, from the chats, let's get to it. Without all them cow poop fantasy. What the fuck are you even talking about, Resident One? Brian McCoppin, who has been a member of the channel for 13 months. Holy crap,
Brian.
That deserves. That guy has been a member of the channel for longer than should be legally allowed.
He's the Iron Age Florida man.
No. No, there are a few that take that title over him. There's also Kahuna, also Rob Rhymes.
The man posts photo of himself in his boat in the middle of the ocean constantly. He's the Iron Age Florida man.
Hail to DPR. Congrats on the comic getting over 3K. Yes.
Sir.
So 3K hits the stretch goal, right?
Correct.
And the stretch goal is a coupon code for your next comic.
Issue number 2, yes.
I've never heard of anybody doing a stretch goal like that before.
We bandied it about here, and I thought it was worth experimenting with, so that's what I'm doing. I already talked to Luke. I just have to officially request it and what I want the name of it to be, and he'll set it up for me.
So everybody who backed issue number 1 now officially has a coupon code to get issue number 2 at a cheaper rate.
Yep. As soon as I'm ready to launch issue number 2's campaign, I'll be sending an email blast out.
That's so cool. That's awesome. The Ultimate Kahuna, who's a member for 8 months, says, besides Gabriel, who has the best enhancements?
That would be Michael.
But you said he died.
Yes.
Dude, no, fuck off.
Yeah, Michael has the most top of the line, as you would consider it, cybernetic enhancements.
Well, you know,
cybernetic versus nanotech, you know.
What was it? The franchise Cyberpunk, Cyberpunk Red. There is an enhancement called Mr. Stud, and they have one of those, and it kind of gives you a gigantic penis.
Yeah.
Is it one of those kind of enhancements? Like in 2077, if you could listen to like a news article where like there's some Mr. Studs enhancements that kind of malfunction and just blow your dick off. And they say, don't use them.
Yeah, I would say that they exist in my world, but no.
Rocket Cock.
Yeah.
Now, Rocket Cock is an incendiary missile that shoots from below the waistline. However, if you do get this enhancement installed, make sure to unzip zipper first before you let it off, or else bad things could happen.
Indeed.
Rocket Cock at your own expense.
So
can double as a flotation device.
What?
Because this is my brain, and it is what it is. I used to play a lot of White Wolf role-playing games, and there was a Black Spiral Dancer corrupted mutation called Savage Genitalia. So when I was coming up with the concept of the cybernetics, I did consider that people would want to cybernetically enhance their junk. So it does exist in the world, but I don't bring it up at all in the story.
Not only would they want to, I'm pretty sure it's the reason why cybernetics would be invented in the first place. Like they're looking for a way to enhance their dicks.
Porn, like, no, you look at it, the two things that advance technology to just leaps in the military,
sex and violence.
Porn uses it first and makes it popular.
Yeah, sex and violence.
Yeah, that's it. Like that literally holds true today. VR,
yes, it does.
Like the military invented VR, and they did. You can go look into that.
Military will invent giant robococks, and then they'll disseminate.
They'll invent pelvic belt rockets, and then that will just be taken by the porn
industry. We are moving promptly right the fuck along from this conversation.
Romeo's crying.
Romeo's crying. Is that the safe word for the show now? Romeo's
oh my god. That just reminded me of From Dusk Till Dawn, the one vampire hunter who had
I haven't
freaking
seen that movie in
belt,
a hot minute.
The codpiece belt with the freaking six-shooter in it. What was it? I don't remember what it was called, but it had a name and it was fucking hilarious.
I haven't seen that movie since I was young.
I think that thing came back in Machete 2. Or someone, it was like
they reused it. Yeah,
the lady had it. She put it on. And she would thrust and it would fire.
Yep.
That's hilarious. JVP Music for $20.
JVP.
JVP Music for $20.
Ruthless 2. Check it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Electric
check
Boogaloo.
out- Right. Well, no. Lit Dev. Lit Dev. And you may say no to this, and it's fine. And it's fine.
Let's get
Well,
ruthless.
you do your morning nonsense. May I pass along something for your morning nonsense to kind of critique as a morning nonsense, only because I feel your input and what you say and what your crew says could benefit this creator to making it better.
Sure.
You should check out Ruthless too.
and one. One, two, both
And
of
one.
them.
Yes, it is a heavy metal audio comic.
Yep.
One is a little more rough than two. Two was a vast improvement.
Extremely.
And
and phenomenal.
But
I did the editing work on it, so
I ended up playing a small part in two, and I don't say to go check it out because of that. Because, like I said earlier tonight, if it was hot trash, I would not tell people to go check it out.
if it was
Let's
hot
see.
garbage, I would tell people it was hot garbage.
Yeah, but so I only ask because it's fun, it's interesting, and obviously if you're just like, dude, this doesn't fit my show, then it doesn't fit your show, and that's fine. But it is a heavy metal audio comic done by an independent creator in this space. And we're gonna skip past the recap.
I'll check it out. Sounds pretty cool.
All right, kid. Remember what I told you. When you decide to act, you go all in. Give it everything you got. Now, go get us some lunch.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's like a
Took the
Mr.
kid
Sub
out
commercial for a
hunting
second there.
today. We need to eat, and he needs to learn how to survive. And I can pick up a few things along the way.
And
Yep.
like I can send it to you. You can check it out if it's something you want to check out on the stream. But dude, this is something I could see going. This could be something that I could see being another animated thing on YouTube. And it's just an audio comic. It's still images, but it's heavy metal and it's just a blast.
I did some of those. They're pretty fun.
Dude, this is such a blast.
It is.
It's a good time. And like I said, I'll send it to you. You check it out. And I mean, if it's because morning nonsense for you, I feel like there's some planning to it, but I also don't know how much planning.
A trade secret.
It's a trade secret. But what's so fun about your morning nonsense is it feels like that show can just go anywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. You can just go anywhere.
Regardless about morning nonsense, I would love to pass this along to you. I'll send it to you in a DM and just at the very least have you check it out because it's really cool. And I want to pass it along to other people because the first one was a little rough, but I still found it fun. It wasn't until people pointed out the rough parts to me that I was like, oh yeah, no, I could see that. Because I just had fun with it, which is what I love about storytelling. You just have fun with it. The second one was really fun. And I would challenge you, Lit Dev, to find the character that I voice in that one. That's my challenge. That's my challenge to you. And actually, my wife even actually voiced a character as well.
Yep.
So that was really cool.
Surprisingly, I couldn't even figure it out, and I had the rough betas of it sent to me repeatedly so that I could check it out and do the editing and make sure
Wait.
the
You didn't-
physical words were good, but I couldn't figure out who Royce played until I saw the credits.
Wait, fucking seriously?
Yeah, I told you that, and
Oh
our
shit!
guild
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
that's right. I do remember. Wow.
yeah.
that
I
was-
couldn't. I could not
That was
tell.
many beers ago, Daniel. I don't remember what you said.
Many beers and many glasses of
Hey, look, beer.
stuff.
All right. All right. JVP music for $20. Every day, and I did the applause already. A $20 super chat gets the applause. Why? Because I arbitrarily decided that one day.
Yeah,
Dev, is
and
that
then we
how you're
drunk and
supposed-
rambled away from it.
Is that how you're supposed to do that? Let Dev, you just randomly decide what gets what?
Yeah, you're the host.
Okay. I'm just going for it. God. Every day I check Twitter and see Dan's consistency regarding storytelling. The guy directly and indirectly helps an entire stable of creators, all pouring our hearts into our work. He also knows Uematsu well. Legend. Why do I feel like I am not inside of that joke?
I'm gonna have to look at that one.
I don't want to be inside that joke.
Oh, Uematsu. That is okay. So that's a reference to Nobuo Uematsu, the composer who does a lot of music for Final Fantasy and other video games. I am a huge fan of his compositions.
Nerd.
Man is a
Nerd.
genius.
Am I allowed to say nerd here?
Yes,
I think. Okay. Nerd.
well accepted.
Maji Chan says, question. This is not a super chat.
Chan?
This is just a question that I pulled from the chat because I do try to do that as well. Could you please talk more about your coaching? I think you're a fantastic coach. Don't regret going through writing boot camp, but struggle explaining it to others. So yes, Daniel is actually a writing coach
Yes.
as well. He helps novel writers get their stories out on their pages.
And nonfiction writers too. I cover everything.
I said novel writers. I said
Yeah.
novel. That cover.
Well,
anyway.
you know, nonfiction are technically novels. Yeah, I am drunk, so don't mind me. But yeah, whimsyland.org is the website for all of my literary services, which is writing coaching as well as editing and proofing. I help you form story blurbs and advertisements for
When
your
did
work
you
as well.
change your shirt?
When I broke the seal.
Lit Dev, did you notice that he changed his shirt?
Yeah, but I didn't know it was a big deal or anything.
I do it to fuck with the Royce.
I was like, oh, his shirt's different. Okay.
Yeah, I do it to fuck with the Royce. Whenever he puts up the intro, I'll like do a wardrobe change or something, and then at some point I'll switch back to what I was wearing. I do it just to see if he notices. It's funny. Anyways, yeah. So coaching. What Maji Chan and I have been working on is we're just going line by line, organizing thoughts, getting thoughts onto the page so that what you're trying to say is actually understandable to the reader, because especially with new and maybe writers that are working on their first book or whatnot, one of the big pitfalls that I found working with so many new creators is there's an assumption that the reader already knows what you're trying to say. It's something that runs rampant in a lot of new creators' products. So what Maji and I have been focused on is going line by line and making sure that the context that she's trying to put into the story is communicated to the reader. And she calls it a boot camp because it's it can get a little intense when we're sitting down and working together. But most of my coaching clients are looking for ways to consistently find the time to write and write effectively. I think it was Stephen King said, if you can put out 500 words a day, you're in a good place to really produce a consistent set of novels. I take it to another step because my average is about 1,000. Sometimes I hit 1,500 in 1 hour. And so I teach other creators to be able to do that and communicate effectively and consistently with everything that they do. The editing and proofing is just me wanting to help people polish that story up and make it so it's absolutely perfect for publishing. The other fun stuff that we do on Whimsyland is like writing blurbs and advertisements. So getting that 60-second or even 20-second in what I did, summation of what the story is about, which is really hard for a lot of people. I sit down and talk with folks all the time and I'm like, what's your story about? And they'll spend 15 minutes trying to explain it to me. And I'm like, let's get it down to 4 sentences, folks.
I AS Burner, I think he meant 1,500 words in a day, not 1,500 words in an hour.
No, I've done 1,500 words in an hour.
Okay.
You should check out my Sunday stream.
He meant 1,500 words in an hour. I'm not sure what type of cocaine he is snorting. I will make sure to ask him off stream. And I will make sure to tell him that cocaine is an illegal drug and we should not by any means share any of it with friends and or let friends know where to get this magical substance.
It's not that complicated.
It's not that complicated. He's texting me right now. I'll hit you up. It's amazing. I'll tell you.
At the beginning of this year, I started a writing live stream on Sunday afternoons at 3:00 Eastern called The Freelancer. And that's where I'm sort of showing how that works. They're 20-minute Pomodoro writing sprints. I do one in the beginning of the show, one in the end of the show, and a review of something that I've worked on or read in between just for fun and something for that particular creator to clip and use as an advertisement if they want, like an endorsement or not, depending on the situation. But in those sprints, I can usually get about 1,400 to 1,500 words in 2 20-minute writing sprints. And doing that myself taught me how to convey that to other people. And that's what we do with the coaching service.
That's fucking nuts, dude. That's an insane amount of words. Holy shit.
I started at 200 and just over the course of the last couple of years have refined it all the way up to that. Sometimes I can hit 2,000, but that's really, really pushing it. Like I have to know exactly what I want to write.
Hour?
Yeah, in an hour. Yeah.
Okay,
That's a lot of words.
Lit Dev, please quantify this for me.
Well, he just said it's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words.
I feel like Lit Dev is not quantifying it for me. That's a lot of words.
But the indie sphere is full of people that want to pulp write. They want to crank out these epic, mid-range, as far as word count is concerned, books. And that's what I'm teaching people to do. That same methodology where you can sit down for an hour and bang out, a quarter of a chapter in 1 hour a day of, a full chapter, half a chapter if you want to do something like super large. I've seen some chapters that are like 10 to 20,000 words long, and I'm like, dude, reel it back a little bit. But
dude, bro, some people's books aren't as long as this fucking chapter is.
Yeah, that's an epic chapter. But that's what I teach people to do in the coaching sessions is get themselves into that zone, that the writing focus, by preparing ahead of time, and then they sit down and they write. And that's what I'm modeling with the Sunday streams, is how I do that. And, you know, having a little fun with the people that show up for it every now and then. It's really small, but I literally just started it on the first weekend of January. So, yeah, but if you want to check it out, it's going to be this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
That's awesome, man. Guilty Gearhead, a member for 8 months, says, finished reading G Sedai book 1 this week. Was rad.
Nice.
Yes, I have G Sedai book 1 right here. It's
It's such a fun story to
This is
for
its
me to
permanent
write.
shape right now.
I've seen worse.
I told, yeah, never mind. Stories for later. JVP Music for $10. He says, fucking thank you, Royce. A critique from LitDev is worth its weight in gold for me. I never said LitDev was going to do it. LitDev didn't even say he was going to do it. I just said I was going to show it to LitDev. And then, I don't know. LitDev is going to run screaming from this channel because, well, I'm surprised he's back here for a third time.
He likes us.
Now check it out.
I don't think he like that sounds a little gay. That's
We're fun.
Gotten to be a few more drinks than that. I mean,
all right, so JVP, you heard it from LitDev right here. If you would like your review from LitDev, feed him drinks. I don't know how you feed him drinks. I don't know if that's in the form of super chats, and then you tell him to just put a mask on and start doing shots. Like I don't know.
Ply him with alcohol.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to bribe LitDev. I don't know how to do that.
He is Knuff.
Yeah, he is Knuff.
Roll Knuff.
And I am Canuck. Anyway. By blood, not by blood, but not by birth. By birth, I'm American. By blood, I'm really Canuck. Anyway, Sound Engraver says, Nobu Uematsu rocks.
Uematsu.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that thing that you just said right now.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's all of the super chats that we have for the evening. So, before we get going, I will have our guest and my fantastic co-host, which should switch places right now, sign off. Mr. Daniel P. Riley, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twix at Mr. DP Riley, and my DMs are open if you want to schedule or just talk with me about maybe doing some coaching or working on your book. I was talking with Nikki P earlier today and surprised myself because recently I did the analysis on the business and I am about 62 projects edited and proofed as far as my editing services go, which is a lot in a couple of years. I'm planning on doing a big yay congratulatory thing when I hit 100, so you'll hear all about it.
That'd
but
be cool.
Otherwise, whimsyland.org is where you can find those services.
Which is down
and
in
you can
the
find
chat.
my books. Yes. And you can find my books on the Buy My Books link, which I stole from the Hedge. As well as other links to fun things like my Discord server, Laureate, where creators have come together to work with each other and help each other refine what they do. It's a really laid back, fun server to hang out on if you use Discord. Otherwise, I hang out in Royce's Guild all the time.
All the time, my at. Anyway, Literature Devil.
I am literally green and ready to be talked to at any point. I'm just usually working on projects.
Yeah. He's as afraid of the chat as I'm afraid of the LitDev. Are you afraid of the chat?
I am not afraid of the chat.
Never.
Okay. Well, so first of all, dude, seriously, thank you so much for coming on, being the guest host for the evening.
I love
problem
the
at
question.
all.
That was awesome.
You prompted an idea from me. And I might share this backstage here in just a minute. However, before I do any of those things, LitDev, where can we find you? What do you do? And what do you got coming up in the future?
Well, you can find me on, the channel Literature Devil on YouTube. I go over all kinds of nonsense, go over some of the, in the morning, go over all kinds of nonsense. Videos, every once in a while they come out, and I go over narrative theory, breaking the narrative of all the weird wokeness. And like, oh, actually, this character is really good. And if you don't like her, you're a sexist. I proved to you why she's bad. And you're actually not as sexist for disliking her. You dislike her because she's badly written. Mm-hmm. It's like the narrative, according to the narrative theory, and down to why it works and why some things don't. And I also do comics every once in a while. I'm delivering one of my latest one, which is Dr. Alpha Dead Man's Alibi Volume 1. I sent more to the post office today, in fact. So, in delivering those, and then the next one will come out when I finish the script. So I'll start working on that one pretty soon. That's going to be Volume 2. Should be the conclusion of the story. It'll be pretty cool. I'm going to put Pai Mei in there and stuff. It'll be pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Interesting. Well, and ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. I am a Drink with Crazy. I will see you guys tomorrow night for Star Shatter. That's right. That is our epic sci-fi tabletop RPG that we play here on the channel tomorrow night. And as always, if you guys are here and you leave comments on my live streams or my videos throughout the week, I read them on Sunday Coffee every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Central. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we did it! We made it through!
Yay!
Another episode!
Touch the butt, folks.
Touch the butt, ladies. Hey, how many butt touches are we? We are at 48 butt touches. Guys, 2 more buttons.
2 more.
Like buttons. If you guys touch that like button 2 more times, we will peak 50 butt touches for this. I don't think they like. Guys, touch the butt. Just stop.
Touch the butt 2 more times for me.
LitDev, are they this stingy on your channel? It's just like they don't want to touch the like button.
I never checked the like button, actually.
It's kind of like a personal goal, like to get the butt touches over. Sorry. So the joke is Nemo touches the butt, and my nieces and nephews made me watch that movie way too many times. I was a nephew.
He liked Nemo.
Or I'm sorry, my first nephew was born when I was 10 years old. I was an uncle at 10 years old. By the time I was 12 years old, I think I had 4 or 5 nieces and nephews. So, because my brothers and sisters were old. I know the mics are hot, Hedge. God.
Good night, Hedge.
How do you deal with the chat, LitDev? How do you do that? I don't. They're so chat.
It's so much fun. That's why.
Okay, well, your chat's way different than mine. My chat shows up with wiffle ball bats and tells me to enjoy it. They're a different kind of chat.
They were kind of tame for me. I was expecting a lot more roasting.
Yeah, they were. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here on Iron Age Nights. And as always, until next time, cheers, everybody.
Good night, everybody.